it hasn't exactly been the same, the days where I'm not, you guys seem to thrive. So I'm going to hope today we can maybe break the curse.
Right as you mentioned that Pyre Square in the chat, if Bass is here, does that mean OG are going to lose? And then Zoltex immediately say, let's see if Bass can disprove the allegations.
I can't!
Insane,
I try, dude!
Insane reputation right now. If the parents are present, the observer effect is amplified. That is an interesting qualm. There's a lot of metaphysical claims are being made right now. But we are also on broadcast, so if you guys would like to watch Shift RLE, obviously make sure you tune in there for their broadcast. But for the most part, stay tuned here. Obviously, this is the OG broadcast. We will be able to cover the boys all day long, as we have quite the doozy of a schedule. We're actually readying up in the lobby right now. I think they just approved the test lobby, so we're probably waiting for broadcast on their end to quit yapping, because you know how Corellian Spaceman are. So we will be able to get into this briefly, but we do have Rebellion, and then we have RMC, which is Reddle's Magic Cheese, aka the old LG squad, and then we're finishing things up, I believe, with yet another pretty ridiculous matchup. I believe it is actually going to be, yes, Space Station. I wanted to say Space Station, but I wasn't entirely sure. So when we say this is going to be a doozy of a day, we're really going to have to lock in, chat. So without further ado, we can just kind of get right into it.
Ready to lock in, ready to get this one started, and also ready to hopefully see. I wouldn't be my first win on stream. I'm just going to clarify for chat. I was here for week one, day one, when we beat Incorrect. I don't believe I was here for any of the other wins. So I've got one under my belt. It's not the greatest record, but it shows it's possible.
Like, at the end of the day, that's all we need. We just need one win, and by that, I mean we need several wins, because, again, we have had a slow start within the Shift Summer League. Again, this is double round robin, so anybody who's wondering, okay, well, what really is going on here? This is the second time we have played Shopify. We lost them in overtime of Game 5, and Shopify is also probably the best offense in Shift Summer League. I think for a while they were averaging something like 3 or 4 goals a game some weeks. So, yeah, they're pretty disgusting, but we were able to almost claw it back, and if not for one little overcommit and them getting a nice deflection, that could have very well been another defeat that we gave to them. So, again, this is not only a revenge tour of an important magnitude in terms of the Shift Summer League standings, but also just because, I mean, this is just straight up pride.
Yeah, again, like we said, there are implications just outside of Shift alone for this one here, because these teams understand, you know, it's very much stakes outside of this. OG, they are going to Worlds. Unfortunately, we're not going to see Shopify Rebellion there to join alongside with them, and it's directly because of OG that is the case. So, as we mentioned, I think last time, because I was here for the last time these two teams faced off, this is really a prideful thing here for Shopify Rebellion. Not only do they want to prove, oh my goodness, that they can stand up against an OG who are firing shots, but they want to prove they can win competitions outside of RLCS, and currently they're not necessarily projected to. Right now, the only team at 9 wins is actually the Red Magic and Cheese team that's here. But Shopify Rebellion a bit at the top of the league. They have had an MVP performance already, with Memory getting it in week 1. So this team wants to prove to themselves, that they can not only take down us, but they can take down the rest of North America, and they're starting off strong. Yeah,
they're starting off with a solid goal here. 2-piece into Parth. I'm never going to say that's not calm. These guys have been playing 2s for too long, but the combination in with the bump, it's a little too tough to deal with for right now, but that's fine. At the end of the day, we know that Shopify is going to score at least a couple times on us, or like any team. Definitely one of the more creative passing teams, and I'm saying that as, obviously, the OG broadcaster, which is one of the better teams at finding these creative passes and setups. So now we start from a deficit. Hopefully it is not the same as other matches. I will say most consistent criticism I have about OG is that we sometimes start a little slow, and then it's just kind of playing catch-up.
And unfortunately, that slow start is not a great thing against a team like Shopify Rebellion, where once you see them with momentum, they are such a mechanically gifted team, they're hard to stop. Speaking of which, 2-piece, my goodness, almost muscles through the 50 afterwards as he saved his flip reset. Not exactly going to work out, though, and here we go the other way. Calm trying to get past Justin and 2-piece, but won't, but Noli there to back him up, or so I thought. Ricochet out to the corner, JNaps. A lot of work to be done here just to try and slow down the counterattack. But again, this kind of goes to show what is the struggle with playing Shopify Rebellion. They're extremely quick, and they have mechanics to back that up. So if you blink for even a moment, you might miss the entire play.
Ooh, Calm has to avoid Justin. Just barely got away with that demo attempt. And so we will be able to then slowly collect. Calm never fearing away from those types of touches, but might have to be a little bit more anxious. Shopify trying to close this stuff down, except JNaps will be able to beat one. How about a demo as well? JNaps trying to get that middle to Calm. Is it slow? It is too slow, in fact. And unfortunately, we're not able to take our best opportunity of the game.
Maybe we'll get another one here. Ollie, good backup out at midfield, but again, it's still not going to prevent the counterattack, and the quick one at that. Naps trying to keep this off the backboard. We'll get it at least out to midfield, but 2-piece to slot in and keep it going. Nolly, again, trying to just control that midfield right now. He feels like the most ever-present player there. Maybe he can get involved in the offense as well. 2-piece, a couple of good touches in a row. And again, the breakaways here for Shopify. They're getting pressed against defense. They are going to stay there for a minute, but they're not staying there for all too long. It's like 1 or 2 shots at OG, and they immediately counterattack.
Oh, I love the tap down from Noli. Parth, no. How about no? How about you don't jump in front of that one? Same with this one, as he's going to get the save on Noli's touchdown. I'm trying to flick that one across and maybe trying to get too much of a bumper pass on that one to lay it out. Even when we don't even have the pass we predicted, you see Shopify go for these bumps, these annoying little plays. They're like gnats. They're just always around the ball, always near you whenever you're trying to set something up.
I mean, we've seen this from a lot of different teams at an RLCS level before, of just this constant annoying presence in the most positive of ways. It's the take the ball away from the opponents. Don't let them get touches that are unguarded, uncontested, and it's difficult to keep that type of style up. Shopify, probably one of the only teams that has been able to sustain that type of play style throughout almost a year now of play. Oh my goodness. And then, again, the mechanics that we talked about before. You give them an opportunity, shots like this, I'd like to be surprised by, but this is just the standard for them.
That's a really solid finish by Parth. Poor J-Naps. I think he's protecting the near post shot, thinking Parth wants to take the shortest angle, shortest distance to their finish, but no, of course, he hits that all the way across and technically top corners it, so maybe Parth just showing off a little.
Oh, that's not exactly a show-off, but it is going to be more offense, and time ticked away here. Game number 1 looking like it could be a shutout against OG, and again, it's surprising to see that considering we have had offense throughout this game. It's just the speed at which Shopify has been able to adjust both on offense, defense, and especially that midfield has made it difficult to find any real openings. Here's one, and that definitely could have been the first goal, but Calm, low boost, so he pre-jumps that one, hoping to get in the way early. Instead, all he does is get a little too aggressive with a pass, the shot not found, and with 15 to go, I think that'll seal the deal here in game number 1. OG getting their chances, but just not converting on any of them.
Yeah, I do like the ideas that we had. We were able to get some demos, some setups across, couldn't pass it in time, or we actually had some open passes that we just weren't able to actually calculate out through. We're not going to get one on the ending here, at least on that last shot, so Shopify will come away with a Game 1 victory in a shutout, but again, against Rebellion, I think a 2-goal scoreline, technically underperforming for them, but definitely work to do as we head into Game 2.
I like that you're saying underperformance out of Shopify
really
here, despite it being a shutout victory. I mean, you're not wrong on that one by any stretch of the imagination. It's more just frustrating because, again, this is the Shopify we have to contend with. I would say this is a better version of Shopify than we saw throughout the entirety of the RLCS season. And yeah, they started to have their highs at the end of it, but this is more consistent, a very different version of them where it's the same type of firepower coming in play after play after play, and it makes it difficult for teams to find ways to slow them down. Again, getting outpaced in this game is not something I can try and just skim over. It's very clear, especially out at midfield. They were dusting us the balls, and they were staying aggressive with said pace of play throughout the entire game. I think game 2, we can absolutely counter that. Like I said, we had opportunities. We just need to convert on them for a total of, 7 shots to come up with 0 goals. We can't have that happen.
Yeah, shooting your opponent is one thing, but being able to get these quality shots is really what Shopify is really good at, is that they are normally a team with their play style. You'd expect them to have like 50 shots every single game, but in fact, they really do choose their moments really well. They're pretty high percentage. They take great 50s because of that 2v2 experience, I think, that Parth and 2-piece bring in. But, of course, we also have a decent amount of 2v2 experience and also just a lot of experience in general. That's kind of been the selling point of OG as a mainstream roster within NA, especially with the least amount of major spots we have been able to see in the modern day World Championships. To be able to claim that spot is just through grit, and obviously we've beaten this team before. Now they're kind of on a warpath trying to prove that they are definitely one of the still best in NA despite those accolades, but maybe they might need to defend right off the rip here because J-Naps is dragging that one all the way to the back post. That's going to miss. Noli looking for a finish, but 2-piece just so quick to that.
And the issue is that was a dive out of Noli as the third man, meaning it's a quick scramble back here. Calm is up and has boost, and honestly, that's a big clearance. It's going to buy time now for Noli to pick up boost. J-Naps to continue with some boost, and what could have been a very risky situation is seemingly alleviated. And actually might even turn into a goal. I saw that one out of midfield. I thought somebody for Shopify might go up, but J-Nas probably saw the same thing and went, all right, that's a freebie. I'll take it.
I couldn't tell if that was a straight deflection or if he psychoed that, but either way, it's a nice pass out to J-Naps as he was waiting upfield. Probably Calm was saying I'm going to hit this as hard as possible. And even J-Naps was surprised that that was just delivered so clearly on a platter for him. Shopify had absolutely no idea what was about to hit him, and maybe the same off this kickoff. If Justin's not careful, he's up for it. Calm was already waiting for it. Noli waiting back in the middle. He might be a good second tier because Calm had that touch. 2-piece plays it well. Another deflection out.
Oh, Justin, though, that's a good beat out at midfield, giving Shopify probably their first offense of the game if they can keep this pressure and maybe even a goal, two-piece. Not thinking he's going to need to use any more of his boost to get that dunk, but as it's deflected high, goes back out to midfield into the corner. Well, he'll get a try again. Back out center. He's going to stay on this ball. Look for the bump on Nolly, and Nolly somehow muscles his way through and makes the save after. Job not done yet, though. He'll make a third save in a row. Nolly playing a more passive game here today, a much more defensive game, and so far it's working out.
Yeah, no, I'm not entirely sure how they got that second save because the deflection off the crossbar is one thing, but to be able to get back up and then save it again. How about you, JDabs? Take a turn, and you will get the save on the goal line. Back to the midfield for Noli to pop, just trying to burn time, let OG get some boost and be able to move on forward. Shopify knows that is not the strategy they want them to be able to accomplish, and yet with these pre-jumps, we're performing admirably well of keeping them at bay. Another double across, but well wide.
Yeah, this is a completely different version of what we were talking about in between games. It makes us look a little bit foolish here. You're talking about, oh yeah, Shopify, overwhelming offense, but not necessarily a ton of shots. I'm not sure of the amount they have here through the first 2 minutes, but it has to feel at least like a handful in comparison to OG, who I think that's their second or third registered shot this game, and it's much more threatening. Shopify right now just kind of throwing things against the wall and seeing what sticks, and it's a little bit too chaotic of a play style because it's leaving them vulnerable on defense. Good save out of Parth, but he had 5 boosts left at that one, and it was a flopping defense on the line. Shopify trying to keep up the same pace of play they did in the last game, and it's just not working for them.
I've seen a couple times now. Shopify gets a little bit of a bump. Talk about a tiny angle to be dealing with here. Poor Noli trying to play that 50, but he just isn't able to jump in time. Two-piece gets right on top of it, and that is the advantage of playing that play style we mentioned in game number 1, just constantly being on the ball. You might not always win all your 50s, but you will certainly force out some awkward angles.
And it's always by surprise when you do get those angles as well. It's not as if Noli played that poorly. He played that probably exactly as he should. You're just not expecting a player to literally monkey challenge that one in front of net, or literally in the corner. I don't know what else to say besides that. I mean, it's, again, the bread and butter of Shopify. This is as well, but Noli, another save. I think he's starting to recognize, yeah, I can just let JNaps and Calm run offense because the reality is Shopify will get offenses, and somebody needs to be back to prevent them.
Speaking of, Parth is already upfield. Noli was quicker to it. Not necessarily needed to be that quick, but either way, better safe than sorry, particularly. Again, Shopify, now that all things are level again, into the ceiling. Parth will deal with it. Back in the corner, looking for the redirect. Com had that covered, and now Justin has to reach backwards. That's going to be a miss. He will leave that to two-piece, but of course, we will send at least one player after it. There's the second, but no third follow-up.
Justin trying to still clear the lines here. OG unrelenting in the pressure they're starting to develop out at midfield in particular, and there are the rewards. Technically an own goal on Parth, but honestly, that was going in either way.
That's a wonderful setup by Com. Fakes it low, and then just immediately launches it over and gets on out. He knows his job is done. Just got to leave it to JNaps, who, of course, will put it into a dangerous position. That's half of what offense really is. Sometimes it's the clear shot that goes right in. Other times, you're just putting it right on the goal line and force the defender to try to make a miracle.
Canadian GOAT living up to his reputation so far here. 2 goals throughout this game, the only 2 goals that OG have scored. Although they might need a little bit more of a response. That's if Shopify was prepared for the miss there. For a team that's usually so hyper-aggressive, you would expect somebody to dive, and honestly, that's probably part of why OG didn't dive, is they saw the opening, went, okay, I guess we're going to get this time in space, and Shopify trying to make some adjustments here in this game. You can even see it from Parth trying to bait out challenges from the OG players, but OG much wiser. They are not going to give up a freebie right now. They recognize the fact that there is a minute to go, and they've got the lead, and they might even increase it. 2-piece, 0 boost, but will still make the save.
And yet, you can only do so much. When all 3 players are involved, Shopify getting beat out there by JNaps. Immediately, Noli knows he has the advantage, plays for the 50, and he could not have played that any better.
Parth tried to pre-jump that one off the sidewall, and you can understand why. Last man back, nobody on his team has any more boost, so if he doesn't make that save, there's no way somebody's getting back in time, even if the shot goes off target. The follow-up surely would have been in, and indeed it was. 3-1 here, a much different game in Game 2 out of OG. They're even out the scoreline overall for this series, but Shopify Rebellion still kind of feel like they're trying to find a play style that's going to be suitable here. Game 1, that all-out aggression really did work out. Game 2, very clearly not the same results, and they're going to need to make some adjustments because of it.
Noli going to be beaten out on that 50. That might have the distance to go all the way, but I don't think it has the height because it's going to bounce off the bar. Double tap not going to go. Justin going to be denied on the goal line, and Shopify got to be wringing their hands. That is very much so a tragedy of the highest order, but at the end of the day, I will take those, especially with 20 ticks to go.
I'm not going to complain about it, especially considering it's probably a little bit, oh my goodness, demoralizing for everyone on Shopify. This might just be even further salt in the wounds, because JNaps, what on earth?
Naps? Are you okay? That one, I don't know if it was going in on its own, but Justin clearly thought it was. He was able to get the last touch, but the setup on that was Garrett G-esque, that ceiling shot back in the day, Season 5 World Championship. That was crazy angle he put on, and honestly, all of OG feels like they're activated right now. This wasn't just a great response. This was a full refutation of really all the anxieties we might have had in Game 1. We got ourselves a series. The Salty Shores going to be coming to an end here with, of course, an OG pre-jump. Not going in, but who really cares when you got 4 to the good?
This might be the only team that you can actually say vintage versions of these players is what we actually want to see. Every other player that comes from a veteran era, unfortunately, is kind of, I'd say, fallen out of relevancy nowadays. But for this OG Esports, who probably has the most LAN experience and high-level experience of any team in North America, yeah, it's nice to see them going back to their usual. It's nice to see JNaps with a hat trick and 7 shots here in our second game. Oh, yeah. And it goes to show you exactly what we were talking about through the first 2 games here. Nolly is taking a step back here. He's playing a much more defensive role. No shots registered to him, but that midfield and defensive presence cannot be undersold. Com and JNaps combining for 11 shots goes to show they can still generate offense. They don't need to use all 3 of their players.
And on top of the fact that they're pretty much all assisted outside of that. Yeah, we have some initial solo plays, but for the most part, it is all players just getting involved and kind of breaking things down. I think the most telling thing is that out of those 4 goals, only 3 saves in total. So 11 total shots that are either hitting off the bar or just getting barely deflected or being able to just constantly be a barrage on the net. I will gladly take that one. I'm curious to see really what Memory and the Rebellion squad kind of cook up on the strategy, because last time these 2 teams met, it was Game 5, it was OT, it was a really beefy series that was going back and forth, and so I'm sure Rebellion not going to be able to take that one sitting down, and we'll have to see what DFH holds as we load up for Game 3.
Gotta hope we see a good back and forth between the 2 teams here, but the honest truth is that if Shopify don't make the adjustments, it is going to be OG all the way from here on out. They dominated them in Game 2, but I just don't suspect it's going to be the same way throughout the rest of the series. Last time these 2 teams faced, it was a Game 5 overtime. This time, though, OG don't seem to have any signs of stopping. Immediately a goal off kickoff.
Yeah, and being able to see Com bait this one in, and then Justin fake chows that. Honestly, he got so close, I was wondering why even fake it. Just jump in the way and get in front of that potential shot. Com probably is surprised as anyone that goes in.
I mean, I think everybody's surprised, but unfortunately, now it's adjustment period for Shopify Rebellion. You're down yet another goal here, and maybe another further. JNap's actually there for the backup, so the offense will continue. Nolly not going to bite on that. He's going to take it all the way back and bait out the challenges out of Shopify Rebellion. I thought that he might have been successful in that bait out, but does get bumped off the backboard. And then nobody challenges him? This surely should be a goal. JNap just needs to put it on target, and Parth still makes the save. And then it goes the other way. That's in. All right, that's the most chaotic play we've had today by far.
I'm more surprised by our lack of recovery on this one. We sent so many people forward onto that one. Honestly, I would prefer a higher lob. I felt like we could have tried to bargain that one a little bit, and I understand the logic there. Okay, well, it's a wide open shot. I might not have the best angle. I might not be able to get above it, but let's just put that one on target. But then you realize the moment you don't put the ball into an incredibly dangerous position, then it's just immediately cleared on out. I would say that's a bit of a freebie, but ultimately something that's highly understandable and not something that's really going to cripple us too much, as Com was trying to cripple 2-piece, but not able to actually get that demo to click.
Justin, a good 50 out of midfield, should be able to alleviate and clear the lines here for everybody on Shopify Rebellion. Turn it into an offense, though. Parth would like to think so. A good touch out midfield, but nobody there to receive it, meaning Justin and 2-piece. Some heavy lifting on defense. They will do exactly that. 2-piece with a full tank of boost. It's a dangerous place to be. You do not want this man approaching your net, and they will not allow him. It forces the double commit out of OG, but it's at least going to send them the other way and get some offense of their own. A minute gone here, and the singular goals through the first minute. The only thing that's on the board so far. Maybe that can change. Noli, a shot. No, a pass down to JNaps, and the double touch in.
I was about to say, who's going to be the follow? Who needs the follow? JNaps is the one on the receiving end of this pass. Nice tap down in a pocket of space and somehow find his way through 2 Shopify Rebellion defenders.
I did not think that was going to even turn into a pass nor a shot at a certain point. Just kind of felt like Nolly trying to throw that one downfield and hoping someone to receive. But JNaps, he's just seeing the vision right now. That is his 4th goal through 2 games at this point. The dude is on fire offensively and honestly shows no signs of stopping. We're not even halfway through this game and it's already 2 goals here for OG.
Oh, JNap's almost added yet another one in there. If Shopify wasn't careful, now we got to be careful. That's a laser over across Com from the back shoulder, and that is why you do not mess around with the Shopify Rebellion counter.
Again, this is the speed of which we've talked about for a couple of games here at this point. They're just so quick to break out of defense and fire a shot on. And poor Calm at that point is at the mercy of maybe hoping that's going to be a poor shot. But Justin, in the form that he has been throughout Shift Summer League, I just don't see him missing shots like that all too often. And he will not do so there. 3 minutes left in this game. We're all tied up at 2 apiece. And honestly, we're finally starting to see an OG that can put a fight to, or excuse me, a Shopify that can put a fight to OG. I'm just curious to see how OG adjusts. Maybe it's not only getting more involved in offense. He's got 2 assists throughout this game. He's looking for a third.
Parth able to get that outplay, and now be able to set that pass up. Calm, really well predicted, but still needs an actual clear. JNaps will provide it with the flip reset. Now into the bump play, potentially 2-piece. Great patience on that one. Otherwise, he was seeing the afterlife.
I love the physicality we're seeing out of OG right now. They're even getting demos out of midfield to not allow a quick counterattack out of Shopify Rebellion. And just like that, though, I don't think are really going to help them. It's actually just giving the ball away. And now Parth with, I was going to say a full tank of boost. He waits too long, though, and pays for it with his life. 2-piece to make up for his teammate's mistake and send it downfield so his teammates can pick up some boost. But I can't believe I'm saying this. Shopify Rebellion looking second best in this series right now in terms of pace of play. Game 1, they were way faster than OG. Game 2, I cannot say the same. They're trying to play patiently, and all it's really doing is giving time for OG to set up plays.
I do like how OG is getting a little bit smarter with their touches. They're not just rushing into the first player like that one. The feint from Noli to leave it for Calm for the long hit. Doesn't ultimately work on through, but you can see Shopify, that's the only moments where they actually pause and reflect and say, do I have this? And in that moment, that's all I really want Shopify to do. I want them to be uncertain. I want them to be waiting for these 50s because it's going to work out in our favor. Calm gets one on a platter and he will eat.
Again, it's just their indecisiveness coming back to bite them here. You can see Parth judging the time to make the challenge, but it's already bounced off the sidewall. It's a free air dribble for JNaps, and as long as he can muscle through a 50 there, that's an immediate shot on target every time. Shopify Rebellion, their own worst enemies right now. They're giving way too much space to OG, and OG do not care. They're happy with it. They'll take advantage every time.
Of course, you got to be careful on this low boost play. Calm starting to run out, but then just immediately gets a clear served up to him. Noli will therefore acknowledge the lack of boost, steal theirs, and now Parth has to make a lot with not too much actually in terms of resources. Back post, Justin. Noli doesn't have it, doesn't need to. Passed off to Calm for a catch, and now Noli back to the midfield again.
And again, that's another example of what we're talking about with Shopify Rebellion just not being quick enough. They should have had a follow-up there, or at least an attempt at one, and they should have also probably been in the air for the guard here. 2 uncontested plays in a row. Calm gets a freebie. Parth eventually involved, but by that time, JNaps is already ready for the counter.
And now getting a payback there. JNaps sets up a perfect 50 that's into Calm for the goal, and now it's the exact opposite. Calm with an air dribble. He's not trying to get that extension forward. He's just trying to stay in the way. And poor Shopify, I think they realized too late that that touch was going to go straight into the ceiling. JNaps always going to be able to put those on target, bury those underneath. One of the players that I remember, I like to have this quote because it really did impress me. Talk to Reddle sometimes at LANs, and we were able to have a watch party watching the OG players play in London. He said he still maintains that of a lot of NA players, he would put JNaps up there with one of the best finishers out there.
I mean, I agree, and honestly, the accolades are behind him at this point. The only thing JNaps doesn't have is a world championship, and again, there's a very real possibility he could change that in the next coming months. But right now, they're just trying to prove themselves here in the intermediate league between the events. And they might have bit off more than they can chew. Yeah, that's an understandable play. I will say this much. Shopify Rebellion, they don't have as many goals as OG throughout the series, but when they do get them, it's mostly off of plays like this.
That's a good play by Parth, understanding that Calm is backpedaling a bit on this one, but Noli almost actually diced all the way through. In fact, he did so well that JNaps was not ready for it. You could see him dive in on that second shot attempt. He was like, oh, it was not ready for that one, and just goes a little bit more wide. So unfortunate to see, but that's fine. Still 1 goal lead, and with 30 seconds remaining, it's a quick balance of how much aggression does OG want to keep, or do they just want to prioritize defense, make sure they don't give any open shots. Shopify going for demos and at the expense of the ball at the end of the day.
And one thing they are doing, though, is they're trying to keep OG low on boost there. That's why they took so much time out of midfield and let their 2 players go back so they could restart the offense again. That's why they're muscling through 50s here, and it's why they're trying to just keep possession close. They don't necessarily need a ton of chances. They just need one. This could be it. Justin, back to Parth. Parth to the backboard. Where's the follow-up from 2-piece? He is up, but he didn't have a ton of boost, so he can't really do much with it. Follow-up shot will make it in, and on 0 seconds, Shopify tie the game.
All I know is pain. As soon as I saw Justin turn on this one, I knew that was a pass. I am blown away that did not bounce again. The fact that that did not hit the ground is something that really does pain the soul. 2 goals in the clutch from Shopify. We unfortunately have to scrape themselves into OT, and hopefully it's a short one because Calm has all the boost in the world. He's going for the ceiling double. 2-piece will be able to rack the first one. Noli gets the ball left, but a 50 from two-piece means we'll stay at the mid.
And this is where Shopify are by far the most dangerous. The Rebellion are so quick on counterattacks that we've seen through multiple times in this series. The only goal I can really think of from the last game that wasn't off of that was, well, the final goal. But OG could just silence this altogether if they can get something here. Follow-up, though, not going to be found. JNAPS and Calm instead trying to patrol the midfield to keep the pressure on. A touch to the backboard, though, isn't going to do much besides force Parth into a retreat and into the corner. He muscles through the first touch. Will he get it around the second? Absolutely. Two-piece up, looking for the bump, but JNAPS just quick enough on the counter.
I was wondering just how fast JNAPS was to that. Deflection to Noli actually means Parth has to get this 50. Noli not going to get that double. Two-piece was actually reading the miss, so a brave gamble. He kind of paid off right there for Shopify Rebellion as they will lose a player. Justin, I think, was looking for Parth, but unfortunately found nothing. Off backboard, Justin a little bit late to it. Noli even later. And now with JNAPS looking for one more. Shopify's backboard defense on lock, but for how much longer?
Yeah, they kind of need to play backboard defense like this, though. They've been exposed there far too many times, so they're extremely careful in planting at least one player there on every single approach that OG is making right now. What about here, though? Two-piece, a little bit too patient on that one. He didn't have a ton of boost to work with, but he needed to make a challenge against JNAPS. Because he didn't now, look at the boost starvation, stealing the corners, but it won't make a difference. Justin's ball a bit too powerful. Nobody prepared for it on the counter, meaning here comes Shopify Rebellion. Justin up early, off the backboard. Noli needs a touch and will find it. But OG now, and stuck between a rock and a hard place, they need to escape.
Justin will catch that one high and actually somewhat lose that one. He has to take that one more middle, which means Noli knew the 50 to take on this one. Follow-up 50 will not be able to be found, but two-piece not really able to propel it much further than that. Calm again off the backboard. Parth, difficult read. In fact, he's not going to get it. Back post shy. It's off that post. JNAP's going to be deprived of the next follow-up angle, and Shopify really going to have to take a deep exhale as they get a hefty clear.
They got to be so lucky about that one. Noli's bump off the backboard caught literally everybody in the lobby off guard, both for OG and Shopify Rebellion. No one was really expecting it. It's why the shot that does eventually arrive for OG is a little bit too late and off target. They just didn't think they'd have the opportunity, but Noli's doing plays like that on repeat. He swings through the corner, immediately gets physical, bumps somebody off the play, and breaks the rotation for Shopify. In my opinion, it's a lot of the reason why Shopify haven't had many breakaway plays here in overtime. Through an extra half game extended, the counterattacks have been limited at best. But the issue is you don't want to give two-piece time, space, and not even a dunk. He fakes it out, but no one's ready on the follow-up.
Unbelievable there from Shopify. That's not going in, but they're still on attack. They still have a chance, and yet they will not hit it. Parth, one of the rarest things, the full miss on that chance. OG getting away with it. Both teams really getting away with murder at times.
Parth getting away with that? No, he won't. Yeah, I knew that was coming. Parth decided to carry this in a 2v1 breakaway the other way, and OG went, how dare you even attempt this?
Balance restored, in my opinion. We give up a free goal on a counterattack, full sending it for a goal, and then they do that. Unfortunately, when they did it pass, it was in overtime. OG moving on to match point again in a must-win series. Just to clarify for everyone, this is the Shift Summer League $20,000 league with some of the best teams in NA. And this is week 3 where really all of playoffs will be decided. So a solid victory yet again in this game, but job not finished.
Yeah, job not finished, and I will be the first to admit here, not the cleanest game out of OG. It wasn't a bad one by any stretch of the imagination, but again, we have to look at the goals that were conceded against us. It's due to Shopify Rebellion either getting a counterattack or a late-game clutch goal, which really started off of an awkward defense. The offense has been electric for OG. I cannot compliment them enough on their starvation, their midfield presence, the bumps that they are getting, but it's the counterattacks and the defense where we still seem to be a little bit vulnerable. I mean, that final play of the game is a great example. We had multiple players on the ball. Nobody could spike it down just due to Rebellion getting passes back and forth and back and forth. We lock down the defense just a little bit, this series is over. We clean up game 4 without a second thought in my mind, but we need to be careful. Rebellion do have one other trick up their sleeve that they use against every team. The revenge arc for this team, terrifying.
Yes, it's not looking super clean for Rebellion. I will say, the fact that they're able to stay close and that efficient is pretty impressive. I'm fairly certain they had 7 shots in that game, and they scored 4 of them. So being able to be that efficient is always spooky, but OG getting 15 shots across that is definitely a showing that they're forcing them into their backboard. They're really struggling to get these clears, and certainly I think that Rebellion has that completely in the back of their mind, because there are no timeouts in this format. We're just playing through every single thing, so there's not extra strategy that they have to cook up. It's really just, you got to show up, you got to put out, and you got to make sure you get these dubs. Last time OG was in a situation like this, Rebellion was able to bring it all back. Is it a similar tale, or is 4 games really all we need? Parth, right off the rip, somehow makes that work.
I warned y'all of one thing and one thing alone, and it's that Shopify Rebellion, they look like a different team after a loss, and this is just such a perfect example. Get around one, demo the other, use, I'm going to call that a quarter pogo to get the final touch there. Everything. Parth doing it himself. That is the best early carry that Shopify could ask for, and really the light to reignite them that they've been waiting for.
And I think a goal like that from Shopify is always something that is going to amp you up, especially when it's the first goal and you immediately start from the forefront. So now everything's kind of in your favor, especially if you can keep those air dribbles going. Com going to get there before any demos come out. 2Piece looking for the top corner, and he is not going to miss this time.
All right, I know I said that the revenge tour is a common thing here for Shopify Rebellion. They really do like to be a bit spiteful after taking some losses they don't feel like they deserve. I don't like this, though. 25 seconds in, 2 goals at this point, and honestly, it doesn't feel like the offense has even been impeded here. OG, take a second to breathe, gentlemen. You've been able to stop a lot of these plays, but it just kind of feels like you're getting outpaced, and maybe that's a bit of a difference from the first couple of games, but my goodness, look at the calm and collected defense we're seeing out of Shopify. Even when they're getting tested on the other end of the pitch, they're still standing up.
Parth trying to angle this one, and will unfortunately eat a 50 for his sake, but doesn't mean it's any easier for the rest of OG. 2Piece, another double tap as Justin's going to send that one to the back post. Noli has the back flip, but right now I'm waiting for OG to get a pad right now. They have no boost to speak of, and that's why we cannot escape our half. Justin adding another one.
I'm not going to say it's GG's already here, but it's not even been a minute, and that's the third goal. How is Justin unguarded flying through the air like that? Dude just kind of floats above the net and eventually slots it in the top left, and it's not even a powerful shot at that. It's just perfectly placed, and this is something you alluded to. Shopify Rebellion are not going to force opportunities, but when they get them, you can guarantee it's at least going to be a threatening shot, if not one that forces the defense into an awkward position. Speaking of awkward, Nolan got to do a lot himself, and that's why 2Piece will ego challenge without a second thought.
Parth able to get the 50 down, and again in front of the net, as OG is just trying to struggle to escape their half, really. We're just trying to desperately make something happen here, and I really blame Noli for a deeper throw down field, even if it's a somewhat ordinary touch away, as it seems like Shopify Rebellion just kind of turned on their monitors, got their little brothers off the controllers, and now they're fully shown up. Not the game 4 we were expecting out of them, but as you mentioned, yes, this is a squad that is one of the most unforgivingly efficient offenses in the entirety of NA, and a travesty that we don't get 5 Worlds teams. Would have been great to be able to see how this team connects against EU and other international opponents.
Yeah, they're such a very much a what-if type of team. It feels like they finally found their stride during the back half of this season, but due to that, it was a bit too late. They'd already put themselves at a point deficit, and even if they had made it to London and made it there's no guarantee that they make it to Worlds either. So it's one of these things where this is a team that really could have, would have, should have been one of the best in North America, but it's great that they at least have an event like this to play in. Thing is, they haven't quite secured themselves a win or even a playoff spot yet, and OG are trying to hunt for exactly that. They finally get a response here as we pass the 3-minute mark.
Well, the cojones of JNaps to fake that directly in front of Justin, the other most experienced player on this field with him, and then be able to just barely glance that one by. I mean, I'm fortunate for it because now there's a light at the end of the tunnel a little bit as still have 3 minutes remaining, not even half time, but 2Piece trying to make sure, no, we're going to take that one right back. Double tap, getting ricocheted off ceiling. Parth going for a double, and it's going to be too much of an angle for even him to hit.
You got to be thanking the Rocket League gods, or maybe the developers on that one, for having the pinch out inside of net somehow ricochet out instead of going in. Either way, it is still scary scenarios here for all of OG as we pass halftime, and it doesn't really seem like anybody's going to stop here for Shopify Rebellion. Although OG now trying to get a chance of their own. That's a lightweight double commit, though. I don't think they're going to be able to sustain the offense here, especially as 2Piece. What a touch for having 0 boost.
Great control from Noli, not only getting the air dribble slow down, but then into the 50. Problem is, I think that was calm. He's off the field. He spawned back in and uses every single bit of that boost to be able to get the first save. No follow-up, though, because it is well wide. Now Noli with a chase. How about calm with a lead demo? Going to be deflected by Justin. Back middle. Noli, look for a tap down. JNaps is there. Back post, and it's well wide.
Justin, full tank of boost, but doesn't want to make the commitment, and that's because Calm just bangs it the other way where 2Piece is already lurking. 2Piece is trying to get something started. The demo will open up some space for Rebellion to work with, but they don't even take a shot. Again, they're not trying to fire everything on target. They're waiting for an opportunity, and I hate to say it, that's probably the best one they've had. Unfortunately, they put it off target, though, and now here comes OG the other way.
Noli, double tap back post. It's on the near post. Noli is able to get the pass. It was Calm actually on the assist. My mind was a blur, and I'm sure so were Shopify's.
The first goal that Noli has all day today. He's been getting the assists otherwise. He's got 4 throughout the series, but his first offensive score here. comes in the form of Game 4, down 2-3. They need one more just to try and avoid a Game 5 and potentially push it to an overtime. And Ollie trying to get involved again. Will bait on that one and take the shot, and it almost works out. My goodness, Noli on zero boost. So threatening, and so is the entire team.
Noli fakes the demo attempt. It's a roller down, and Noli not able to finish. Shopify doing well to keep this one at a one-goal game. Talked about OG throwing away a lead last game, and now Shopify very much in danger of doing the same, but it's not truly a throw unless OG can take advantage. Noli, they can smell how close OG are. They're trying to get those cute dip dribbles across. It's certainly throwing Shopify for a loop. They're defending the backboard well, but all these shorter range plays force them to start to creep out of their goal.
Shopify trying to put the dagger in at this point here. They would love at least one more goal just to try and secure this one, but OG hunting to avoid a Game 5. Justin, pop up high. It's going to get to Parth, who spikes it off the ceiling. 2 pieces there. Tries to keep it close, and I hate to say it, Shopify, what are you doing? They keep going for these close plays and these opportunities where they just need to fire a shot off. I don't know if it's them just kind of overthinking their plays or what it is, but they have left multiple opportunities at the table. Here's another. Where is the commitment from 2-piece or Justin?
Honestly, I think they're playing Noli's clear, and then when he didn't get it, they all kind of backpedaled, and hitting the brakes means they have no momentum to catch up to the play. Problem is, they don't need the momentum. They just need to close out this game. Final seconds, Noli in front of the net takes a 50. That's 2 players committed. Pass over to Calm with 35. He needs one more extension. He does not have it. Shopify keeps it up, potentially to their detriment, as JDaps will tap that across the corner. Justin with a spike down, and unfortunately, after all of that drama, OG just doesn't have enough opportunity to clear that one. It is going to be Shopify coming away with Game 4, and we're going to have to go to, yet again, the distance against Shopify Rebellion.
I want to act like I'm surprised, but I can't be. If there was a world where we win this series, it was going to be in Game 5, and to be honest, with Shopify Rebellion having the performance they did through the first minute here, you kind of knew it was coming before we even got to the end of this game. OG, props to them. They did play a great second half of this game, but even at that, it still feels like they were the second best offense in it. Yes, again, 3 goals early makes it hard for you to ever become the better offense at that point, but it's also the amount of shots. We talked about it. Rebellion, usually a team that are hyper-efficient. They're not just trying to suffocate you in offense. They're trying to suffocate you out of midfield and wait to take the shots. What I think they have figured out, though, is that actually putting OG in more awkward situation by firing shots off is actually going to be more effective against a team like this who really aren't going to jump at any of those bait plays that you would normally see out of Shopify Rebellion. That's why 11 shots to 6 here. They outshot by almost twice the amount, and it goes to show that was very much part of their strategy.
Yeah, and being able to obviously steal all that boost away means that OG is kind of just floundering. And any team, if you're dealing with maybe 10 boost or 30, if you're spawning in, is kind of a grace. That is going to eventually score enough goals. And Shopify got really, really good at that within that first minute. And then since then, they kind of fell off. So I'm going to be hoping it's more of the back half of last game than the front half of the last game as we get into Game 5, Champions Field, to see if OG can take home another dub. Again, a league play victory that would be so sorely needed for them.
Yeah, this is an unbelievably important one for them. Not only because if Shopify wins this, they go on to 9-4 overall, meaning they have a guaranteed 9 victory. What? Oh my goodness, they're not going to get there quite yet. But on top of that, if OG does lose this, they eventually go 5-8 overall, which means the maximum amount of wins they'd be able to take after that would be 10, meaning teams like Shopify, like Space Station, like a lot of other teams in this event cannot take another win or we are out of playoff contention. Calm refuses to not see playoffs.
That is just a solid finish. That's 2 players in the way. 2-piece taking away the pre-jump. Parth trying to lock down the back post, but it turns out you left something over your shoulder wide open. Slaps it through in the post, and that is more like it from the OG side. Now, how do you build on it?
Uh-oh, Justin off the ceiling. Yeah, I saw him recover off of that. Where's the follow-up? Part to the backboard, 2-piece. Will make the dive, but doesn't get great contact, which means Shopify Rebellion need to find a way to sustain this pressure without not overexerting and overplaying. I don't know if I think that's exactly how you would do it as Parth. I guess you do technically get the 50 afterwards, and OG taking a second here. Thought they'd maybe dive a bit more quickly, seeing the awkwardness out of Shopify, but instead it's awkward for them. Not sure when to make the approach on defense, and because of that, it's a free pass out center, and the shot is perfect.
Poor Noli. He was trying to play that 50, and then there was actually no read by Shopify. Goes to the corner instead, and Calm potentially could have jumped for that one, but I think doesn't want to overplay his hand. Trusts that JNAPS might be able to get to it first, and unfortunately, it is yet another time where they play a different angle than what actually transpires off kickoff. Maybe Noel trying to make up for that one, but well played by Parth to take away the inside angle.
Still a lot of game left to be played here. 4 minutes to go, and a single goal for each team has shown that they do have the capabilities to win this series. But again, it's about clutch factor at this point. We've seen 0-second goals, we've seen comebacks, we've seen overtime wins, we've seen pretty much it all in this series. But the two teams have had their ebbs and flows. At moments, it's been brilliant offense, and at other moments, it's been abysmal defenses. Whichever team can find some consistency here in this fifth game most likely take the series, and it could be Shopify as they're starting to get some offense started here. 2P spikes this one to the ceiling and back to himself. The 50 muscled through, but JNAP's awkward. He's got 14 boosts to contend with and needs a clear. Calm will back him up, and I thought it would go right into the hands of Justin, but Justin awkward and still somehow continues to play. Never mind, I thought surely that's a breakaway, but Shopify refused to relent.
Yeah, especially now that Calm getting bumped out as well. You can see Shopify understanding OG likes to take their time off the backboard, and so therefore they're just going to chase them all the way down, whether or not they get the ball or not. Calm, not a lot of boost. I don't think Shopify knew it. Now he's got all of it because that's the corner read. JNAPS off the backboard, trying to reach over his Parth. Justin calls him off, and a good Calm as well. Not only getting the clear, but cutting it all the way back down.
One just continues to ricochet on either end. Teams are taking their chances on getting some possession and sustaining it, but it really feels like two different approaches. Like you mentioned, it's an OG who play patiently on defense, so Shopify Rebellion are diving at these plays, trying to create that awkwardness that have resulted in goals time and time again, versus an OG who are trying to be not only quick with the counterattacks, but methodical in the ways they march downfield. They want to have boosts. They want to string together passing plays. It's two very different approaches, but both of them viable. Teams are holding on to possession out at midfield in their own half for an extended period of time, but only one goal apiece for either end. Shopify looking for another here, but 2P's beat out by Noli. Can Calm get to this one? Justin awkward. He actually pops it back to his own corner. He knew Parth would be back. I don't think he knew Parth was going to miss that, but it might still work out.
And Parth just launches an absolute catapult of a clear right there. Way too far away from 2P's, so Justin has to be able to rethink things. Tap over the top to Parth, actually going to be beaten out by JNAPS. Going for the wall dash, something new in the JNAPS arsenal, which leads to Calm getting another shot. Unfortunately, plays it high, which is where all the Shopify players were.
Yeah, they're starting to put a lot more players on the backboard at this point, and it's very intentional. And we talked about this earlier in the series where they were getting exposed on the backboard on repeat. They had Justin not only up and prepared for that one, but he even got called off by Parth, who had a full tank of boost and left Justin with a tank of boost so that they could stay in good positions on the defense. So this is a much different version of Shopify. They're picking and choosing their times to be hyper-aggressive in other moments where they do play with a more defensive posture. In comparison, it's an OG who are picking and choosing their plays to move into offense. Passing plays from them have been immaculate thus far. It's a shame that none of them have been able to link up so far, because with a minute to go, this next goal is probably going to determine the series.
Noli over one, pass two, not three. Justin with another save, and now Calm's got to be careful. Shopify might be trying to hunt him down. Certainly Justin is taking his best effort at him. Calm going to get deflected. Use that flip to stay relevant to the play, though. 50 back to midfield. Might have rescued a goal. Now Noli needs to make sure it's further abstained from. Long clear into JNAPS. Looking for the double. Is he trying to roll back the clock? The vintage JNAPS finish will not be found.
They said, all right, you can double touch on us once this game. We're not giving it to you a second time. What about a flip reset? I think Noli's going to try to lock into that, or at least get to 50, and, well, he'll pay for it with his life.
What a catch.
The good thing is Calm gets a second chance. JNAPS gets the shot, and that could do it. 29 to go, and OG a late lead.
I think if you sketched up the best possible catch, it's that Zen-like from Calm, and he does what he also does best after that one. Takes out the only defender in the way. Helpless on the goal line is Shopify. 30 seconds remaining. Shopify, do they have one more clutch moment, or are we just too tough here in Game 5 this time around?
It's been two very close series between the two teams here in Shift Summer League, but this one could come down to a finish in regulation. Last time it was overtime. And OG trying to avoid that scenario. Justin, that's the worst challenge he probably could have ever made. It means Parth has to do a lot of work here. JNAPS the shot denied by Parth. And OG need to be careful. One last counterattack for Shopify.
Gonna be flicked on over. Good deflection by JNAPS. Final second. It just needs to hit the turf, and it will. Revenge. Best served cold. How about in the second round of that double round robin? OG taking it in 5. Shopify Rebellion finally getting another loss in their column.
This is, as I stated before, one of the most important wins OG is going to take the entirety of Summer League at this point. Not only does this keep them in contention for playoffs by getting them their 6th win overall, it also allows them to not have Shopify further the gap between the teams that are not guaranteed for playoffs, but are most likely making it, and the teams that are on the fringe. Coming into this series, we had only, I think, 4 teams that were technically underneath 6 wins at this point. Coming away from this one, all of a sudden, that pack of 8 and 4s that we had between Gen G, G2, Space Station, and Shopify gets a little bit more chaotic. So there's a world now where OG can make playoffs, and that win is going to go a long way to getting them there.
And as we take a look at the results that are slowly coming in across this, by the way, exclamation point bracket, I believe in the Twitch, will give you this Liquipedia page for the league play for Shift Summer League. Again, double round robin, so it is 10 teams. Therefore, you play each team twice for 18 total matches. So this is going to be week 3. So this is match day 5 of 6. So we have games today and tomorrow, and then we are done. Playoffs are determined. Basically, top 6 get through, and OG's very much fighting for this one. We are the last to be updated in Liquipedia. This was a Game 5 victory, as you just saw, for OG. Poab taking a 3-1 over Incorrect. SSG sweeping Dignitas. And G2, Game 5 against Gen G. And RMC, a.k.a. the old LG squad, beating Fun also in a Game 5, Bass. So a pretty contentious series, and then some maybe not so contentious series.
I mean, that's just kind of how it's going to go. We've had the ebbs and flows from a multitude of teams here. Again, you would be very surprised to hear that G2 are currently fighting to even stay in first place before this league starts. But now that we're here, it can't be all too surprising. The one thing I will say at this point, though, is that win, as good as it is and as much as it does get us back into contention here, it only ties us with Dignitas now. Dignitas technically a lower seed because they are -2 overall game differential, while we're at a flat, I can't believe I'm saying this, 27-7. It goes to show you, despite that we have a losing record, how close it's been every time. But this is kind of why we state every one of these wins is going to be hyper important. And honestly, on top of that, I'd like to see the losses continue for some of our top contenders here, because I'm not going to lie, G2 and Gen G going to 5 is great because, Gen G take the loss, but we need to see Gen G fall off a little bit more if we want one of those playoff spots to open up.
Yes, so right now with that victory, we are slowly moving on up within this table. But again, yeah, this is, when I say must-win victories, it's about other teams dropping games and also us starting to slowly gain them. Dignitas' fall-off is definitely a little bit of a help here as we're slowly trying to climb back up. But within these games, it is going to be pretty sweaty. We are ending the day with Space Station, but actually up next is the #1 team, actually, in NA right now. It is Reddle's Magic Cheese. They are 10-3. Raw Greg, their coach, been tweeting a lot on line lately, on X, Twitter, whatever, that they really like the playstyle that they have locked in. And apparently, I can tell, it's kind of crazy to be over the major winners and also, all the other major qualifying teams for NA in this summer league.
Yeah, it's extremely impressive to be able to do so. But again, this is what has made Shift Summer League so incredibly interesting, is that it does kind of feel like it's up in the air for any teams to make it into playoffs. I mean, you look at the first couple of weeks, and maybe not the same case here anymore with Incorrect, Fun, and Pirates on a Boat struggling to find even 5 wins. But at the beginning of the season, we had no idea who was taking this one home. And honestly, I don't think if you would even tell me or force me to make a pick here today, I have no idea what the 6 teams making the playoffs are going to be. But that's what makes it all the more exciting, and it's what makes it that we've got more series we need to win here today.
Yes, and so with that said, we are actually going to be getting into it pretty soon because we had to wait for the broadcast as well. Also with a Game 5 victory, it means that it's going to take a while anyway. So we have games on the top of the hour. We might start a little bit early, but we will throw you guys to a brief break as we are able to get some water, use the restroom. And you guys can take a break, catch your heart rates a little bit as we then will get into our next series against Reddle's Magic Cheese here on the OG Team Stream. Do not go anywhere. Games by the top of the hour, and we'll see you soon. Welcome back, everybody. I told you guys, top of the hour, and we're back even with a minute to spare. It is going to be Reddle's Magic Cheese versus OG for our second match of the day here. RMC actually coming in as the best team in all of Shift Summer League, 10-3. So formidable opponents facing up against us here now off of mainstream. So we have just ourselves back to the intimate OG team stream.
Yeah, we're back in this one. It's just back with a very difficult team to try and face now. It's the #1 team in all of Shift Summer League at this point, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they got a win in the last round, which means, let me make sure, yep, they're the first team to 10 wins total. Yes. They have dominated throughout all of Shift Summer League at this point. It's a bit surprising, if I'm being honest, again, it's another team very similar to Shopify Rebellion, where they are not making Worlds, they were in contention to make Worlds, and now they're very much looking at this as a redemption run, and they're taking it very seriously at that.
Yes, and so being able to have to take this team on is going to be a little bit interesting, particularly because this is a team that in the beginning of the league for RLCS, we were struggling a lot against this because this is basically just the old Luminosity roster for all you guys who are not 100% sure. This is RMC, Reddle's Magic Cheese. It is the same thing. And we were slowly able to turn the tides and pretty much find the hard counter to them and start beating them in pretty much all the important matchups. But ever since Shift Summer League, they've just been kind of locked in. So I don't know really what to expect out of them. All I know is that it seems like they're all ready to go. I'm all ready to go. And it seems like we are all good to be able to kick this one off. There's a little bit of delay in players actually joining, but it looks like that is over. So, Bass, if we can continue the winning ways, OG looking in good shape to continue on here in the Shift Summer League. But of course, this is, I would say, probably our true biggest test due to the actual just past record of this squad.
And again, this is still pretty much a must-win scenario. It's not as much as a must-win as before, as taking a loss for this RMC team wouldn't exactly do all too much, considering they're more or less a shoe-in for playoffs, so we're not really looking to take away wins from them in order to open up space for us to then enter into playoffs. But, again, we can't really afford to take any losses at this point. Every win we get gives us a higher percentage of making it into playoffs, because we're still technically playing catch-up against a couple of other teams here in the league. So, a win here is not a must, but it would be pretty helpful. So far, seeing us only play defense does not bode all too well.
No, but at the end of the day, this is also always going to be an uphill battle, and we were playing against Shopify, which was the best offense in all of NA. So naturally, if we can handle that, then hopefully we could also have the answer here to RMC, the new and revamped, I would say, LG roster. Now that they are unshackled by Org membership, sometimes teams kind of take that as a sign of freedom. They get to play a bit more the way they want to express themselves on the field, and we'll have to see whether or not that is kind of cooked up anything, because I wasn't really looking at them deep analytically last time, so maybe this time we'll have a little bit of a peek behind the curtain over time as that pinch almost sent all the way through, and then we almost sent it right back.
Reddles, my goodness, the calm, collected play there to not try and go for the challenge off the backboard. Maybe should have been a little bit quicker on the follow-up there. He kind of pinches it out straight into the hands of OG, though, who now have some offense to work with. Uh-oh, that might have been... Yeah, that's an error you can't make. Noli was pre-jumping that one, I think, off the ceiling. Missing that, not going to work out.
Yeah, it's a tough one from Com. Not only hits that one down, but it wasn't high enough that Noli could get to it. Noli was also, I think, halfway through that jump thinking, am I going to be able to get this at the time? And unfortunately, he will not. Com will not, and only RMC will. So that's a first goal. Almost an immediate second, I would say, either from both teams, as that was kind of a whiff off the rip. Cheese getting the bump. Luckily, Noli has a 3v3 game plan mastered. Will be able to swoop in and get that save.
He's probably been our most clutch player here today. Nolly hasn't been able to get involved in every play that we've had, but when he does get involved, you can really see his impact, whether it's through physicality, a midfield presence that has just not allowed quick breakouts from the teams we've played. But okay, here he's not going to get that option. My goodness, he tried to play that one to keep contained, but he pays for it with his life. The good thing is it affords space now for Com and JNAP to get something cooking. That's all three players biting, though. Noli knows that, so he's going to be quick to at least get a touch out of midfield, but we got to be careful. OG's sending the house right now, and so far they've come up empty on all of their plays, and that's why we're affording this much space to RMC on the counter.
I'm just waiting for the counters in terms of the play style. The demos from RMC really all season long. I think they've been a team that has been formidable, but the moment their demo play stops working, it feels like that's where their game plan really starts to fall apart. It's something that they do so well that even though I will say that's a linchpin of their victory, it is still so hard to counter for so many teams because they do really rotate around this entire time, trying to be mechanical and cause commotion and fall for fakes, I suppose. I don't know how calculated that was, but Com will gladly take a goal.
Yeah, it's a little bit of chaos here. It kind of feels like the ball was just ping-ponging back and forth across the pitch over and over and over again, and eventually that leads to Match Bear, who's rushing back despite having a full tank of boost, isn't really going to be able to make much of a touch because of how chaotic and how out of whack he is on his rotation. So, look, I'm fine with it. It's going to be due to the pressure that's being exerted here from OG. It's not exactly a consistent play that I think they're going to be able to replicate over and over again. But hey, if chaos is what we're going to be living in, might as well get comfortable with it.
Calm going to have that one off of his hood, and Magic Bear not only getting the pre-jump, but the revenge. That last goal not going his way.
I mean, it's a great challenge out of Magic Bear. It just kind of feels a little bit bad because it's the one time you have Nolly out of rotation. He's going, all right, that's out to midfield. I should be able to grab boost, and then I can play a bit more defensive posture. As soon as he thinks that, you can see him rotating immediately back as he sees the shot on target, and by that time, it's a bit too late. RMC taking advantage of an OG who haven't played a very defensive playstyle throughout this first game. It's not if they play bad defense, but the 2 goals they have gotten so far have been off of quick counterattacks that have just kind of exposed our midfield.
And I will say RMC doing a good job of getting really annoying touches through the midfield a couple times now where we have moved up on offense and they'll just pop in just to tap the ball slightly. It doesn't really clear their lines, but it makes us have to repossess everything and have to reconfigure our approach. And right now, I think it will work for them until it really doesn't as we're trying to find our way around. That cute pass won't find anything. RMC really waiting for that one to get cleared as Reynolds was apparently trying to call off Magic Bear that whole time. But either way, still a 1-goal margin, 90 seconds remaining here in game 1.
It's a very, I'd say, quick passing play to try and get through midfield here for everything that we've seen out of RMC, but I think the one difference right now is it's almost a bit too quick for them to even follow it up. We'll send something downfield, somebody will be there, but they're not going to make any real good contact with it, so all it really does is give time for OG to find where it's going to ricochet out and make a save. I don't know about making a save on that one. I don't really know what's happening this play. I'm going to actually say for probably the first time and the only time on stream, RMC, please score. You deserve to have scored off that. And they won't. OG getting away with murder on that play.
And they will not return the favor by giving away some free murder all the way to RMC. Counterattack is also not going to click on through, so both teams not really finding their first priority on the ball or first thought can actually work out. Same with that clear Magic. Going for the skim, not going to hit one. That man in beast mode.
This one through the corner. Everybody trying to do their best beast mode impression. An individual play here would go a very long way in a series that has had a lot of physical and close proximity plays. The amount of times I've seen at least 2 players, one from each team on a 50, and occasionally we'll even see the 3rd and 4th player get involved. Doesn't really feel like there's a lot of space being afforded, and that could be valuable to OG. They can't find a shot here. JNAP's off the backboard. Calm trying to lead the block. Where is Noli to get involved? Popped it back center. Calm is there. The shot is off. JNAP's on the follow, and we get one more with a second to go.
One singular second, and also just, I would say, a singular moment. That was about 4 moments in the span of that 10 seconds until we finally found something. OG always looking for the pass. Poor RMC. They were just trying to cram that goal line, and even if you park the bus, eventually that bus can get moved.
I'm hoping this one hits the ground. I'd love to see an overtime in game 1, especially considering that RMC probably should have taken this game considering the shot they left at the table earlier in it. That means they're going to be hunting here in overtime for some redemption while OG is kind of playing with house money. They're happy. They take a win here. That's a great start in a series that we said is a must-win for them. It's extremely important to start off strong. They're trying to do so here. First overtime of offense is in their favor.
And Rails, that's some really solid control. Cheese will not be able to get that, and there goes 2 players for RMC, and here comes the only player from OG up on the attack. Calm playing for a 50. It will land on Noli. Deflection middle. Cheese able to react to it. Not really getting the angle he's looking for. It's going to go well wide, and Calm will just slow it down, wait for some support.
That's a double commit, though, and with low boost on everyone on OG, it should have been an extension to the play, but that's a great ball out, and it is going to give time now for them to reboost, but probably not get an offense. Pinch on target. Calm needs to make the save, and he does, but here comes even more offense here from the former Luminosity squad. Magic Bear, the shot on and in, and they'll take game 1.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. The build-up was there. Noli gets that stolen. Calm was playing for the catch, I think, and realized halfway through he couldn't get it. Magic Bear smartly plays for a 50. It's a one-on-one. He knows he can probably win that one, and RMC naturally will take that one because of the build-up of pressure. However, showing OG not to be pushed around there, starting to fall behind, but then being able to stay neck and neck until the final moments.
Yeah, it was a good game from OG. I don't want to take anything away from it. I think the only thing that we can really say is, again, we really weren't even expected to get there based on the fact that RMC left probably one of the clearest chances they've ever seen on the table, and that allowed us to get to an overtime. Plus the 1-second goal means that, I will say, OG was definitely playing from behind throughout that game. It's not as if they played a bad game. Again, getting 5 shots and being able to convert on 2 of them is extremely promising. The issue is then you look at the amount of offense afforded to RMC on the other hand. 14 shots in favor of RMC. We can't afford that. As much as it is, you know, the defense has played well, we've been able to step up against most that's been thrown at us. I don't want to see them just allowing quite literally a firing squad of shots over and over and over again.
Yeah, ideally, I would also like to avoid that one just because I do believe that OG has the potential to be able to take these games. It's just that RMC, they are a team that has really revamped how they've been playing. They are a squad that's also really hungry to be able to prove that they belong at this caliber of competition. As we had mentioned before, a big thing about Shift Summer League is not only a kind of redemption, playing for money, being able to stay active, but also for a lot of these unsigned teams, this is a chance to show all the orgs considering getting into the scene at the end of the season, maybe before the next one, that they are the real deal.
I mean, this team is very much the real deal. Again, RMC have proven themselves not just through this competition, but through a multitude of different events at RLCS level. They've made it to a LAN before. They've taken themselves to at least, I think, a top 4 finish in multiple events at this point. They're a very, very solid team. The only issue for them is that I think inconsistencies plagued them throughout the year. Back half the year, definitely not as strong as the first, but they're still trying to close out the technical RLCS season. A little bit of strength here. It might be the offseason in between LAN events, but we still haven't wrapped up the year entirely. So while the spotlight's still on them, they're trying to shine within it. It gives them a win here in Game 1, the highest record in all of Shift Summer League, but they still have OG to contend with. My goodness, if this isn't a response to start off Game 2.
Magic Bear was taking their time on that save, and it felt like halfway through they were like, I'm not really a huge fan of that. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of this from Reddles. What a catch into the bump attempt. The Reddles classic, and will not get try number 1. Here's try number 2. Off ceiling, Noli says absolutely not. Shoves that one all the way back to the far side.
And it lasered back and forth across the two halves of the pitch here, and it's not exactly going to give OG a chance now, though. Double commit could make it awkward. Actually, it works. That is the first time a double commit actually benefited the play unintentionally.
That's a really nice set down, but yeah, a lot of confusion there. Cheese was unselfish, said Magic, you have that one off the post, and he's able to react to it. Poor Calm. You can see him going for the in-and-out save, but it was such a slow build-up that he couldn't really time it correctly.
That's a rough one. Oh, and this might be even rougher. Yep, there's another one. Magic Bear continue on his scoring ways. He had a hat trick to win the game in Game 1, and here in Game 2, he's at least getting another one on the board.
And that's a calculated kickoff. You can see Magic Bear go to the side. Reddles purposely tries to win that one on a side roll to be able to channel that one to the left. That's more and more you're starting to see kickoffs getting more strategic and actually act as set pieces. It's not just a true reset. It's being able to lose it in a specific way, which previously was just let's send it to the back corner, but there on MC, it's like let's just send the house and see if we can get a lucky deflection.
I will say, I don't want to bring this up quite yet, as we do have a decent amount of time here, so it's definitely possible for us to turn this game around. But I will now mention that games individually are also extremely important for us in this series. Even if we do take a loss against an RMC, which, you know, by calculations, that's the expected result here, we need to make sure we take games off of them. Differential is going to make a huge difference here at this point, so we need to make sure we're at least pushing the series and extending it somewhat. And if we can get goals like this, I think we absolutely can, but there's no follow-up. JNAPS tried to put that underneath the bar, and the counterattack immediately scores.
It's a painful one as well because JNAPS is up for this one. I think he's in between two different options. Doesn't really have the boost to get the flip reset double, but he also doesn't want to trust to just get a raw double. So instead he kind of just lays one down, hoping for a bump. We can't connect, and the counterattack was kind of already written in. This is a huge moment for us, considering that Shopify had a similar story, but that was Shopify. This is the #1 team in this $20,000 summer league for these pro teams, so it's going to be harder to have that comeback against a squad like this. And as you can tell by the way they're playing, they're giving up pressure, but they are not giving up a lot of goals.
Yeah, they're also still staying, I would say, in good rotation overall here. They're making sure to at least hold somebody back when they have these more aggressive dives out to midfield and into, I would say, this sort of offense that we're seeing out of OG. Good example, Magic Bear was playing out of midfield entirely, but he was afforded that due to Reddles and Cheese playing a good defense. Now, look how quick they're able to turn it into a counterattack, and are able to do so with a full tank of boost on every player. Reddles finally getting involved in the play, looks for a pass out, and will find it. And I'm gonna be real, I don't blame Cheese nor Magic for not being, up to that one. That was an incredible cut, and that's also why the defense here is so awkward. They own goal.
Honestly, I'm just more blown away that Cheese had that on target. That cut came in, and I think Noli halfway through is saying, well, that's going to go off near post or it's going to go more middle. No, it actually goes in between those two options and goes directly top corner. Poor Noli going to get an own goal on that one. But either way, I think this one was pretty much done and dusted at 3-0 based on how little time we had remaining. At least with Shopify, it was in the first minute. We had time to kind of assess the situation, but this one, RMC, I mean, they're just playing on another plane. I have no idea what could have been happening within North America if they were able to capture this kind of play style back when RLCS was still very much in contention.
Yeah, it just feels like the cheese difference. The dude has made a massive statement here throughout the summer. Not only has he been able to sort of redeem himself for what many people called a lackluster second split from him, but on top of that, he's already gotten an MVP here. MVP for Week 2 of Shift's Summer League series, or Summer League play. So it's very clear, Cheese is back on his mojo, and when he's feeling himself, he is a different player. Incredibly capable, incredibly strong, and even making saves here in this one on 0 boost. RMC, what a performance here in the second game. It doesn't mean that OG are done yet. Oh, that needed to go in. Not only the follow, and finally we get on the board.
Alrighty, there we go. We can actually avoid the shutout. Poor JNABs had such a hard angle to deal with. Reynolds actually perfectly covered that one on the timing. Thing is, there's only so many shots you can defend until it eventually goes through. But on the flip side, there's only so many times we can get away with shooting the ball 4, 5, 6 times in a row on one offense before we get a goal.
I'll take it. You know what? I will absolutely take that. As long as we can give ourselves some momentum going throughout the rest of the series, because as much as I do love that one goal, I still don't think it's going to make much of a difference here in game number 2. A reverse sweep seemingly necessary against RMC if we want to try and catch ourselves another win. And like we said, this is not exactly as important a win as the other series, but it's still extremely important. And getting games even at that is going to be ultra important as well. So we still have a chance here. OG starting to show they do have some fight left in them. The issue is now they put themselves in potentially the toughest position possible with a reverse sweep in the cards.
And that's something that many teams can even pull off within Shift Summer League, or just otherwise than that, for very good reasons. When a team is playing this well, you have to make massive adjustments to your playstyle. You have to be able to throw them off of their playstyle, because sometimes even if you start playing better, it's still just not quite enough. I do like that start, though, on the redirect. That was on target, needed a save. Noli chased back down for a 50, and it'll be guided out to the corner. Another goal might help, but RMC does not look like they're in a charitable mood.
Yeah, they don't seem to even be giving us any shots at all here. They'll allow us into the offensive third, but when it comes time for something to go on target, I mean, look at that. It's a great example. Not only does Reynolds make the initial play, but look how quickly Cheese is there to follow him up and just get it out to midfield, clear the lines and alleviate pressure, and it really does feel like that's the bread and butter for RMC right now. They're not looking to try and stay on their half for all too long, and when they do break out, you can see the effects. 5-1 here, the victory definitely in their favor in game 2.
Yeah, it's a dangerous team for a very good reason. The playstyle that they're trying to do is not even an attempt. They have figured it out. They know exactly how they want to play, and they're just pretty much imposing their will on us. So, yes, definitely going to just take an L on that one as we see some goofy things happening at the end of the day here. But that's okay. You just shake it off and honestly use the rest of this time just to think through how we want to deal with this moving on into game number 3, potentially the last game if we are not careful.
Well, it's now all eyes on Torment, in my opinion, here. Dude's going to have to whip this team into shape because it does not really feel like we're showing our best play style at this point, because this is a complete flip of everything we saw in Game 1, Taco, and an honestly even more detrimental result. This is, instead of it being 14 shots for RMC, it's 6, but they scored on 5 of them, in comparison to OG, who fired 10 shots and scored on 1. So, very clearly, RMC have made adjustments in between games, and even despite that, they were still as dominant.
Yeah, and the kind of awkward statistic that I do have to bring up here is that I have mentioned that we are now having to reverse sweep RMC. One of the few reverse sweeps that has happened in all of Shift this season was actually RMC against OG in week 1. We had a 2-0. It was looking fine, and then they were just able to clock on in. So clearly, they were not happy that they'd do that. They're trying to take care of things more expediently. So maybe it's time for us to serve some revenge. We got some on Shopify. RMC, if we can do this, it'll be in spectacular fashion. DFH for game 3. Here we go.
Gotta hope we can get this one done, or at least get it started. Honestly, the beginning of this game is going to be extremely telling. An OG that, like we mentioned before, throughout the day, really thrive off of momentum. They can find some early momentum here. I think there's absolutely a world where that reverse sweep is possible, but we cannot give up any silly goals early. Uh-oh, we're already in an awkward position. This one almost makes it in. Cheese even gets the bump, but somehow there is a save.
Janap's not going to be able to reach this one, but Reynolds is already backpedaling because he had nothing in the tank either. Not going to bother Cheese. Magic is still chilling in the middle. Noli. Now to Reynolds. Another catch and carry. Trying to look for those bumps on Calm. And you can see the little glitch touch off of the car, but that's about as far as it can go. OG will escape, and honestly, much better than last game. In fact, it's infinitely better because now we're starting with the lead.
This is such an awkward play out of Cheese, and I don't really blame him because JNaps just kind of spikes this down. He knows he needs to grab the boost because there's no way he's getting it clear without it, and he tries to get in the way of Calm, and Calm just goes, all right, that's fine, I'll just demo you through a shot. It works out. It's not necessarily the most standard of plays, but it's a goal for OG, and like we mentioned, getting momentum early in this game is key to extending the series.
Magic Going to throw that one a bit further away than he wanted, but that's fine because Cheese has the lead block as always. I mentioned RMC, definitely one of the most heavily committed demo-heavy teams, and yet they do it so well, and that even when you know that player is going to be chasing you. The question is, well, how do you actually avoid that one? Apparently, use some finesse. What a catch from JNaps, almost being able to extend that further. He will steal that boost for at least a little bit of solace.
The one thing is, though, Freddles is bumping him off the play, so it's not as if he can extend it whatsoever. He didn't actually need to, because it looks like Noli gets involved, and all of a sudden, shots starting to fire on. OG trying to keep up that fast-paced play style that we saw from the last game, where it allowed them 10 total shots, but the conversion rate so far already a little bit better. They've gotten their early goal. Now can they avoid a counter? JNaps needs to do a lot here, and he will, but he still keeps it in the offensive third, where RMC can work with it. Bomb. Trying to get it past midfield and take away everything that they had just built up, and it almost works out. Technically a fake out of JNaps, and I think a coordinated one at that, but still the save made.
Oh
what about on this, though? Double demo. Is anyone there for the shot? No, but offense will be retained by OG.
That was one of the few times where so many people got demoed in the space of about 2 seconds. I don't think Director Cam knew where to go. It was almost like, okay, I'll just figure something out. It'll be fine. They'll eventually come back. And they did. And now we're back into the regular amount of play. Still a lot of space for OG. Noli trying to build off of it, but unfortunately doesn't have the angle to truly do so. JNap's pre-jump not going to work. Calm will be able to save it. Reddles pre-jumping that one. I don't know how well that's going to work, and yet he makes the best of it, especially with Cheese also trying to follow suit. That increased pace of play from them working at times, but OG definitely being slippery as they're continuing to get away with some touches.
This is the version of OG I like the best, where they're picking and choosing when to challenge, but still keeping up a fast enough pace of play that it will catch their opponents off guard at times. At the same time, though, I don't necessarily want to go back to the style we saw in Game 1, where it just afforded a ton of shots out of RMC that were seemingly unrelenting and never stopping. So I'd like to see a little bit of equilibrium, and right now I think they are starting to try to find that, but still, offense being afforded to their opponents. However, Reddle, zero boost, needs to do a lot, and he cannot. How nice does it feel for OG to be the one to score off a counterattack this time?
That's a rough one from Cheese. He goes up for that aerial, and honestly, he probably thinks he can get any semblance of deflection, which would prevent any form of a goal, but as he gets beat over the top, Reddles, he's still coming back from the back corner. I think he was looking for a boost. He's looking for pads, and he will find basically none of it. Almost still pulls off the shot to his credit, but yes, OG starting to get on a roll. Again, reverse sweep required in this one, and I 100% agree with you, Bass. This is the play style where OG, when they are able to dictate the pace, where they're able to fake some challenges, go in for others, be able to play passive, absorb pressure, then rebound it back out. They do look good, but of course, that's just going to be the goal, to curtail all of what I'm saying.
I mean, look, I will give credit to Magic Bear. That is absolutely a goal on his part. I will also, however, say that that's entirely Reddles. Dude went headhunting the moment he saw that ball get launched downfield, and I mean, they get the goal because of it. He doesn't actually get credited for it. I'll throw a little, fake assist on my stat sheet for him, but that's, again, as you said, the bread and butter here for RMC. They're a hyper-physical team, and when it does work out, it works out really well.
Well, you have to respect it. And the thing is, they're so high efficiency. There's no way to compute this outside of hand doing it, but I would love to see a stat that is just attempted demos versus actually completed demos. They have to be super high, but when they're not, you're going to have your defense taken advantage of. Calm, just getting a freebie.
Yeah, this is about as free as they come, and I will say part of this kind of feels like RMC is already at the GG goes next phase, because Magic, what are you doing off the ceiling there? Dude goes for like a breezy flick, but there's nobody he's really even passing to because his other two teammates are also demoing. So that felt like either, I'd say, just kind of panic entirely, or it might just be RMC going, all right, this ain't the game. We got this in the next one. I'd be surprised if they said that, though, because with 80 seconds to go, they do have time. Unless Calm just scores here. JNaps is not even going to go for this. Calm's going to get the demo. Nolly doesn't bite? I get it. You have a 2-goal lead. I don't know if you should have left that one at the table.
Honestly, I think OG is healing from some competitive trauma in the past. We've actually given up quite a lot of goals last week off of that exact scenario of like, hey, that's an open shot. We should probably go for that. Okay, well, no, he doesn't go to the first one. Bass, does that satisfy you?
That satisfies me. What doesn't satisfy me, though, is that RMC, I don't know how to describe it. It feels like they're trolling at this point. Like, how many times have we just seen them sprinting back and then just own-goaling now? And I get it. Again, you don't necessarily want to keep playing the same play style throughout the rest of the game and allow your opponents to further adapt to you, but they were within a goal with a minute to go. The fact that it is now extended to a 3-goal lead for OG just kind of feels like they've said, all right, GG's go next. We got this in the next one.
Oh my gosh. Oh, gee. Well, you talk about being a momentum-based team. I would say most pro teams are, but this is just ridiculous. Getting smacked around in the past 2 games, and now suddenly game 3, things are starting to fall off the wayside by RMC. You know that you said it was up to Torment trying to figure something out. How are they going to deal with this one? Now it's on Raw Greg. You've done really well to get your team into a top position in Shift Summer League, but Game 3 not only has run away with you, it is looking like it's going to even grow. But as I say that, a classic bump play to open up yet another goal.
I want to, keep our attention on Cheese here, but also look at Reddles. Dude did not leave JKnaps alone. There was no chance JKnaps is getting to that one. That might be the most tilting play that the Knapsack has ever had to contend with. He's dodging a demo, gets bumped, and watches the goal go in. I don't know how you don't tilt out from that. Props to the OG team for even staying in this one, because at that point I'd be saying FF. I don't care if this is a competitive game.
It is really irritating to be able to play this, and that's why it's fascinating to watch this team all commit to it. I've never actually seen a team like that. Never mind that, JKnaps slapping that one flawlessly top corner, my word. 84 MPH.
This is a bullet. I don't know if there's any other word to say for that one, and I think the most impressive part is that it fires on target, not only perfectly on target, but it does so underneath the bar without even skimming it. 6 goals now in this game. That is more goals than we have seen out of OG the entire rest of the series, times 2. Yeah, I think they figured it out, Taco. I think Torment did get to the boys and have figured out a different play style.
And a lot of it has to also come down, I'm sure RMC going to be talking about it, the counterattack goals. You cannot allow that many free goals against any caliber of team in NA, in SAM, in EU, in any region, because they're always going to go on through. OG taking advantage of that one, I will say. RMC, when they just send the full house, they're still able to get some goals. A little bit of a goofy one there from Cheese and Reddles chasing down JKnaps again.
They're just bullying JKnaps, and I don't know if that's because they recognize he has the hot hand here today, which I will say he's played extremely well here today, so maybe taking him out and tilting him out of a series isn't the worst strategy you could go for, but leave my man alone, bro. He's already having to deal with, like, AARP payments at his age at this point. He doesn't need more stress.
That is very much what he is dealing with, and right now it seems like RMC is dealing with a confusing one. They were able to get 3 goals, but when your opponent is getting 6, doesn't much matter. Good job to be able to come back. In fact, OG, the most efficient match we have seen, shooting 6 for 8.
I mean, it's a play right out of their opponent's book at this point, in both of their opponents at that. RMC, like we mentioned, 5 for 6 in the last game, but it was really due to counterattacks and open nets. We saw the same thing out of Shopify Rebellion, who we beat, but they did get a majority of their goals through counterattacks and open nets. OG went, what if we tried this for once? And gentlemen, I recommend you continue trying it, because it's working out really well. Not only are you able to do that, but you're also getting 5 saves on the other end, and for a total of, I believe, 9 shots, that means only one of the shots was either A, off target or not saved. The rest of them went in. So hyper efficient still out of RMC, but the defense well prepared even with that counterattacking play style. So this is a much more well-rounded version of OG that we didn't really see through the first 2 games. I gotta hope they can keep this up, because I know we were memeing coming into this one like, yeah, reverse sweeping the cards easily. I'm honestly starting to believe it.
Well, we believe all the things up until sometimes Game 4 just doesn't quite go our way. We love our Game 5s here on the OG stream in terms of entertainment value, not in terms of competitive value, because I'd much rather just take these games in a shorter extent. We had, coming into this one, a pretty dominant win over Shopify Rebellion, and then out of nowhere, they scored 3 in the first minute. Maybe we can do the same to RMC. Calm over the top. That's going to have the bar. That's another one just loose in front of net. Noli thinking about it, but just didn't have the angle.
Noli was already upfield trying to go for demos. That's the reason why that angle even exists in the first place. But unfortunately, if he had not made that, or excuse me, if he had made that challenge but not made contact, that would have been an easy counterattack for all of RMC to work with. Instead, we are prepared on defense, even if it is a little bit awkward. The double commit there had both of us just kind of a little bit, nervous for the play. But we escape from it, get an offense of our own, and don't hold on to it for very long. Reddles, even on 0 boost, able to bop it out to midfield. JKnaps trying to make up for that, but will not get a shot.
Apparently the culture feeling a reverse sweep against RMC as well. Incorrect Terror coming in, the owner and operator of Incorrect Esports, also in the Shift Summer League, saying, please beat them. And we are certainly trying our best. They are not making it easy, but Game 3, certainly the beginning of a turnaround. That's a traded demo for JKnaps. Potentially to get that dribble deflection back means calm. We'll have to rebuild, and by rebuild, I mean just send it forward to JKnaps. And always a nice strategy, but Magic seemed like he snuffed that out early.
JKnaps was already up for that back when I was in kindergarten. I don't understand what he's doing up for that play and that early. They're never going to be able to receive a pass like that, but I do think part of it is actually even threatening passes like that. If they're starting to connect out of midfield, if they're starting to have these booming balls downfield that are actually turning into threatening plays, RMC need to start looking out for those plays. And because of that, that's why they hesitate here. They thought a player was up. They knew this could have been a passing play, but when JKnaps says, I got this, well, here's what happens.
Honestly, I don't really blame that. Cheese actually saw over his back shoulder Calm creeping up, so he's waiting for the demo attempt, but also he understands that JNABs can tap that down. What he didn't anticipate is that the solo play is very much so something that he could do as well. So gets the reset, hesitates, and that's the difficulty of being a defender when you're not marking that goal line. JNABs almost pulls off one of the nuttiest angles. I could not imagine the mental if that one went in.
Oh my goodness. It kind of feels like the mental is already starting to be a little bit rough for wear here for everybody on RMC, as look how much slower they are to following up these plays right now. Beforehand, we talked about it, their speed was a huge advantage to them, but Magic Bear eventually gets to that ball, but by that time, OG back into another offense. Off the backboard, Calm is there. I think it's supposed to be a pass out or a forcing save out of Reynolds. Again, OG starting to coordinate this game based on how they want to play. They're not allowing RMC to dictate the pace of play, dictate the rotations, really do anything. That's why you're seeing Reynolds. Usually Reynolds is the more passive player on the team. That time he has to dive out of midfield just to try and prevent a counterattack.
Right there in director cam, you can see the demos chasing, starting to go through, but they are not connecting. That means open nets potentially. Calm, I think, decided he's not getting that goal, so instead he'll play for possession. He will get none. There's now Cheese coming down. He will swing and a whiff, but that's fine. Pass still coming in, and everybody backs off for RMC. I think they'd just rather play solid defense than risk it all on offense.
Honestly, and I can understand why, but the issue is once you start to turtle and, lose confidence in yourself, you can feel that throughout the rest of the team. It's something we've talked about a lot here, is that when Cheese is on, he is the best player in North America, or at least contending for it. When he's not, you can see the physical difference, and here's a great example of that. He challenges Noli, doesn't even make contact on the ball, and now on zero boost, he's just scrambling back even to make a play at all. This RMC team has lost their rotation, and, I mean, there's another example again. Reynolds, why are you not challenging, and why are you almost own-goaling Cheese?
Well, again, it doesn't go right through, so it's fine so long as you keep yourself competitive. Cheese, what a classic, goes for the bump. I mean, for a one-trick pony, they certainly know how to be able to ride that as far as possible.
OTP, OTP, OTP. I mean, honestly, I get it. This team is extremely solid on physicality, whether it's Cheese, Reynolds, or Magic Bear. They've been able to guide themselves through the air like that on a multitude of plays. It just kind of goes to show you, though, at this point, the team plays, which were very effective before, are no longer nearly as effective. The fact that they are having to go for individual air dribble bumps is a sign to show that OG has gotten under the skin and has made this a much more difficult series.
And now the hefty clear as well. Cheese can be able to launch one on target. That one, a bit more finesse than what we're used to seeing out of him. Reynolds trying to also go for that, but apparently not able to hit that clip on the reset from the corner. Magic gonna set him up again off the corner. Zero boost. Does he need any? Calm to the back post, and he's gonna be able to find Cheese in the end.
This one just feels weird. I really don't know what other word to use. We have all three players from OG just kind of in front of the goal mouth, waiting for somebody to break the rotation and going for a challenge. But by the time they do, actually they don't. There is no challenge that entire play. The passing play from the back end into the corner, even down. Not a single player from OG jumped at it, and that's about as easy as they come for an RMC who have been looking for just even an opportunity throughout this game. We've got plenty of time to get an opportunity of our own, but I don't love that we've just given a bunch more momentum and confidence to an RMC that we're lacking it.
Yeah, that's the issue, is that they're able to pull off not too many shots, but ultimately it's the ones that go in that really do matter, so they don't really need this overwhelming pressure, and we have had a decent number of opportunities, but we've not been able to capitalize on all of them. That was another fantastic effort from RMC, this time making the save. Magic Bear, temporary left alone. Jeez, that's a good hesitation, but with so much boost, we only have to just strike true on this one. Calm! Off the post, follows it himself, and out of nothing, we have an equalizer.
That is either the luckiest play of all time or Calm should be a math major. I honestly don't know which one of the two it is, but the fact that he is reading that angle and immediately shoots it, I mean, props to him, and congratulations, Noli. You just got the freest assist of your life.
And granted, I'm surprised he even still got that one. That's mostly the post, but I don't think you calculate any statistics from your opponent's touches as the fourth man going to help us out there. Reynolds going to miss on that setup. Cheese over the top. Calm, no problem at all. Which is where Reynolds starts to come in. He's not going to go for this one. Neither is Magic. JDAP's already up for it. Gets the bump on the backboard. Noli from ceiling. Magic doesn't have it. She's had to rescue that one. Imagine the scenes if he doesn't deliver that.
That is such a low percentage play for everybody on the pitch, both on defense and offense, and that's why you see everybody flailing at it, because they know if the opportunity arises, as difficult as it is, somebody's going to slot that in a series like this. We've seen the highest of calibers, we've seen the lowest, and we'll now see in overtime. Game number 4. Do or die for OG. If they want to even have a chance at the reverse sweep, they need to win this one.
A deflection, Cheese off backboard. Difficult read for Noli. That's why he doesn't get it. Calm is able to read that one. Cheese had nothing left in the tank. 50 is not going to really help. Magic quickly up for it. Noli Well played on the angles. Com has time to build with. Reddles has boost, but he's underneath it. Is he going to be able to stop this first one? He will not, but Cheese still able to get that clear as JNaps will play for possession.
Ali taking this one all the way back, but he drags it in front of the goal mouth. I'm not so sure if I recommend that one, and unfortunately, it's now resulted in demos and awkward play for everyone on OG. JNaps, the steadfast veteran of this team, is going to clear the lines and give some time now for his teammates to, oh no, to get dunked on. Yeah, I didn't think that'd be how that one ends. I'm going to keep it real with you.
Not going to lie, really solid read from Magic, but when I say he full sent for that exact angle, that was exactly what happened. Like if any other type of contact, that is something that deflects, that goes to the corner, goes ceiling, goes to the sideline. It actually had to be that clean of a read. So I will definitely fall to my knees in the middle of my apartment because that is a tragic way to end. But of course, RMC, best team in Shift Summer League for a reason.
I'm gonna be real. If I wanted to say what I thought about that touch and about that goal, I probably would have to be pulled off the broadcast. So I'm just gonna say that, congratulations RMC. I cannot believe you won that overtime.
Man. And also, I will say that is painful because that is very similar to the last week in OG's losses. It's a really solid game.
I remember.
And it's just a one singular moment that doesn't really go our way. That really rough touch there. Other goals from RMC pretty solid. I really wish they wouldn't have won off that. Any other goal I would have been fine. Just not off the hard read on the deflection middle. Ugh.
That feels worse than getting counterattacked. Like, genuinely, that does. We have given up open goals that have felt less painful than what I just witnessed. That is, props to Magic. Again, we talked about it, a team that needed confidence. If maybe he's looking at Reddles and Cheese and going, all right, I know you guys do not believe in yourselves, but I believe in this challenge. And boy, howdy, did it work out. So,
Look, I think we were doing pretty well until her came in, so...
Can we ban her?
Yeah, I feel like mods, can we get this girl out of here? Yeah, she's saying GG with 2 exclamation points. That is just, disgusting. I don't like that at all. Banish the Gulag. Thank you, Mere Scissors, and that'll be a 3-minute ban for Hercules. About time that we got real justice in the chat here, because after all, we can't allow this in here. Absolutely nothing of this caliber. But either way, now that Herc is banned for 3 minutes, yeah, we can focus on the next match, Space Station Gaming. Unfortunately, Dignitas taking another loss, and we are not able to catch up a little bit further with another dub. I will say taking one game is at least a little something for a differential, but that's really the only silver lining we have here.
I do think technically we are the 6th place team now at this point, because although we are both 6 and 8, Dignitas have a -5 differential in comparison to what I think is our -1 differential at the moment here. So technically we're in 6th place, but again, this is why we state all of these are kind of must-win series, because the further we just leave it up to chance with Dignitas and just us kind of having like a slight differential in their favor, it just means if Dignitas all of a sudden take an upset win or they get a couple wins in a row, it gets further out of reach for OG. And again, this is why we also stated we need to see some teams above us have the worst day of their lives. I'm sorry to Shopify that it kind of seems like it's going that way. I think their second series they're wrapping up now, they might just lose to Poab, but honestly, I'm cool with that. If all of a sudden SR just fall off and they open up an extra space in playoffs, that's another one we can take.
Absolutely. As we take a look over at the exclamation point bracket, by the way, if you're in Twitch and you would like to wonder, what am I looking at? This is the Liquipedia page. Shout out Liquipedia, of course, best resource in all of Rocket League Esports. But this is the bracket for the Shift Summer League. This is week by week. So there are 18 rounds of game. We are currently finishing up 14. So we're still waiting on that. Incorrect 3-0ing Dig. Dig has been arguably the most confusing team in this entire league. They almost were perfect swept in that series.
Huh?
Yeah.
I don't actually have words for that. I'm genuinely confused, especially considering, like, again, props to Incorrect. I will say this much. Flitz, probably the most unpraised but deserving of plays player in, like, just all of Rocket League right now. I know this has nothing to do with Shift Summer League, so people are going to be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But dude just got robbed of a playoff appearance in Summer Series for CCA. Like, straight up got robbed based off of a forfeit given to a team. So this dude deserves a lot more praise than he's being given right now. He's maybe not putting up the results necessary, but man absolutely deserves a lot more praise than he's being given.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I think we are still waiting on the mainstream to finish up, so we can check in on that one, as I will lazily type it in and not have a hyperlink ready for all y'all, so it's have to
I don't know if it's
do it on through.
possible,
But yeah, I mean, at least for right now, as we might have to slide the vertical capture just a little bit here. Yeah, I mean, it seems to be 4-0 G2 in Game 4 against SSG. So it looks like we're probably going to go into a Game 5 if I was a betting man with the final 9 seconds of this game.
I'd have to imagine so. And honestly, if that doesn't happen, SSG, I just need to know what the lottery numbers are. That's it. That's all I need to know next. If you guys are able to turn this around. In that time, okay, never mind. G2 scored again. That's the opposite of like good luck. I don't even want to call it bad luck. It's worse than that.
Yeah, at least for right now. I might just tune in over to Lawler's stream.
Oh, yes.
It is Game 5 with 11 seconds. And I don't know about you guys. I'm getting a lot of lag on this stream. So hopefully it's a little... Okay,
yeah.
It just kicked through, and with the final seconds, might be seeing some OT here as Andy sends one over.
No way.
Oh my God! Moist! They actually did it. They done did it, chat. Wow.
Okay, so Rebellion and Dignitas. Who's having the worst day today?
I mean, Dignitas taking a loss 3-0 is pretty rough. At least this one's Game 5. But okay, well, we tuned into that one to figure out what was going on, and we immediately found out. So. I suppose we're just going to be moving in. I don't know if they're playing highlights. I was about to say, I'm like, why is it still Game 4? Why is it still Estadio Vita? We'll be tuning into the G2 and SSG thing because we're still waiting for results to be 100% finalized. So unfortunately, due to the fact that this is round-based play, I believe we have to wait until all matches are done so they can finalize things and then assign our next matchup because SSG is our opponent. So we physically have to kind of chill for a bit.
Yeah,
nice
we got some time.
But either way, I mean, it's what happens when, unfortunately, it's so convenient when we get a round 5 game because then we can, ooh, nice graphic. Ooh, look at that fade as well. Oh, Corelli gets cut out in my vertical stream. I'm so sorry. Here, we'll move it over so we can get some, there we go. There we go. Look at him. He's so nice. I think I have that shirt.
You might actually. I think you've talked to me about that shirt.
Actually, no, it's slightly different. It's slightly different. But I was
probably the
same, like, wait a minute.
Same company though, definitely. I'm gonna at least make a prediction of that.
Here, we'll just transform this, center this to the screen. Bang. There we go. I mean, yeah, when it comes to most of these games, I don't really know how to predict how they're going to go just because Shift has been... It feels almost like, I mean, both you and I, we're working collegiate a lot. These games have been, like, insanely unpredictable. For example, G2 has got a 5-1 victory at the end of the last game, and then 8 seconds in, SSG just, musty redirects into a goal.
I think part of it is that it is difficult to predict, and I do want to attribute part of it to that, but I also want to attribute part of this. Chicago has been on a revenge tour since finally qualifying for Worlds. Dude has been out here, like, I know you guys took me off of, like, the top 10 list after being there consistently every year for, like, I don't know, a decade. Now he's kind of realized, he's like, all right, SSG need me to be more of an offensive player, and I'm happy to deliver. The difference in offensive output this guy has had since first split versus the second is undeniable. It's been impressive to see his difference, and, I mean, a good example here, dude's in a 2v1 and he's still muscling through plays.
Yeah, man is built different, and I also like to see... Well, G2 striking back, but I also like to see the fact that players like Chicago, like Atomic, like JNAPS, they all split, and everyone's like, wow, that team was really good together. But no, they're all just individually really nice. They're able to all stay on top. Obviously, Atomic winning the major is great. Being able to also be able to move on with Chicago, making into the major, JNAPS on OG, still being able to play at the top of his game. And honestly, he's still playing phenomenally. I think I made a tweet a while back. I think Garrett G was going to be the player that proves that you don't have to retire once you hit like 23, 22 or whatever. I think you can play until way later in your 20s. Honestly, JNAPS might be like the player that might go on if he continues to have fun and keeps playing at the level he has been.
I think it's probably going to be one of the G2 players. I really do think it's going to be Chicago, Atomic, and JNAPS, all three individually, who are going to have more extended lives to their professional play. Man, what an unfortunate prediction for you on Garrett G. Like, up until this season, I think everybody probably could have agreed with you and been like, yeah, that's the one. And then, well, I don't really need to elaborate any further than that.
I still honestly believe he could play on, but the thing is, and this is going to come a little out of pocket because we don't have to talk about this. I'm not a fan of how, unfortunately, he has chained himself to energy. I think it's really limited his ability to build a team. Because I know there was a brief moment where, not to name any names, there were some rumors flying around that he was shopping around the idea of not wanting to team with the energy. And apparently a lot of pros said they would choose him as like a player to like build around. Like they would I would love to team with Garrett. I would love to be able to do that because one, he's like a good guy. He's been known as a good teammate. He obviously has a good work ethic and definitely has the backing of a lot of org. It's good name recognition. He's a content creator. Like it all works. He's everything you want out of building an org. And then instead Energy probably offered him the amount of money, like the most amount of money. And they're like, hey, how about we just try to rebuild? And he's like, okay. And then the problem is you're not able to build a superstar roster if you have to stay with the same team and you have to play buyout clauses and everything. So definitely was a struggle there. Who knows where Garrett could have been if maybe he went elsewhere.
Yeah, but Taka, you're forgetting. How can you say no to the Panda Express bag? Like you
that
just
is
can't
true.
do
Honestly, I am such a complete sellout for some foods, and I feel like if I could ever get Taco Bell or Chipotle sponsor me, it would be Jover. Progressively, actually, I'm actually realized coming into doing the OG team streams, I was not a fan also of Red Bull. Nice goal by Chicago. But progressively they were like, oh no, the colored ones are really nice. I'm like, I don't believe you. I'm drinking a watermelon one right now.
So
it is incredibly delicious. It is so incredibly good.
OG, if you're listening to this and you wanna reward me for the streams that I've been on so far this summer, you guys, I don't even know if they still make it anymore, but for one summer, Red Bull released a lime Red Bull, and when I tell you that was my addiction for a hot moment, that is the one. I don't even really drink that many energy drinks anymore. Occasionally, once in a while, if they somehow got me a case of lime Red Bull, I mean this seriously, it would be more in my system than water. Like I love that stuff, dude. It was so good. I agree. The flavored Red Bull is unbelievably hard. Like some people love the original Red Bull flavor, and I got no beef with it. But when I tell you that the flavored ones outdo it like 17-fold, oh my god.
Yeah, the Panda Express bag does go hard, though. Honestly,
hard.
How many other orgs have like a food sponsor? I'm trying to think now.
Okay, I do know one.
There's like the Oats sponsor that is
Oats Overnight, yeah, for SSG,
which apparently is pretty good. I have not tried it. They've given me free samples at Lands, and I still have not used it because I gave it away to my friends. But outside of that, we have Panda Express with NRG. Envy
You're missing
Jack
the important
in the
one,
box,
though.
says Eggplant Barmy.
What?
Yeah, apparently Envy had Jack in the Box back in the day. Pretty solid. Gen G had McDonald's, I believe. But
they still have partnerships with McDonald's.
They're not. I think it's more of like a just occasional event sponsor or something.
Yeah, no, they partner with them. They do a lot of regional leagues for them. I've actually worked with Gen G on those, and shout out to Gen G for them. It's really cool what they
get McDonald's
do for.
delivered to you on broadcast. I
yes, they
worked one
do.
of those as well, and that was a very nice play.
I ate 5 meals of McDonald's in 2 days. I do remember this. It was quite something. That was a weekend after that event. Anyways, the one you're missing, by the way, which is the most important one by far out of any of these. Grand Canyon University, sponsored by Canes, and oh my god, if they are not the luckiest people ever.
I completely forgot about that. That is true.
So dope, dude. So dope.
We also have Southern Miss University being the only
title-sponsored collegiate.
Is Coca-Cola.
Southern Miss, yes.
That was like it is just the Coca-Cola Rocket League team, and I'm like, that's actually insane. So I don't know what they get out of that outside of like actual money. Hopefully they get like free drinks or something. Also, not really hope that you should not be drinking that much soda. But either way, the Canes sponsor goes hard. The lady I'm currently talking to works at Canes. I'm trying to find my way to get as much free Canes as possible. Yeah, maybe I should just instead. I should be able to find Grand Canyon students and just prefer.
No. Leave them alone. They're close to me. I get that one. That's my bag. They're close to me.
Guys, did anyone else just witness what we just saw?
What? Dude, I'm just watching through your stream. I just did not expect that.
Oh my god. So Com has said that every pro universally acknowledges that Beast Mode is the best redirect like skim player in the entire world. And that's why I say, oh, they're not BMO when they go for those shots in games, because it's stuff like that. That's like automatic for him. That is the easiest shot in the world to him.
It's almost as if he's the best player on the planet, and it's quite literally
anyone
undeniable.
Debates that, I will fight them. Legitimately,
you'd be surprised, bro. You'd be surprised.
Who could watch that team, him play against Falcons, and almost single-handedly tear that team apart at times?
Dude,
like,
I put
he's
out
not elite. No, he's not that good.
I put out a tweet literally saying, I was like, at this point, it is undeniable that Beast Mode is the best player on the planet. I actually think that part of the reason Beast Mode follows me is because I put out that tweet. And I swear to you, the people in the responses were like, you're just glazing him, bro. He's not even that good. And I'm like, what are you people talking about? They're like, yeah, but if Zen was at his peak, he'd be beating him. And I'm like, you guys are out of your minds. The dude just won a major. But what?
Yeah, and also, he does this. Flip reset catch into an extension, into a miss, into the assist for Daniel. G2 wins.
Like, what are you supposed to do?
You can't do anything. I'm sorry. G2 is too good. That's why Reynolds said, if you think there's 4 European teams that are better than this G2 team, you should never talk about Rocket League ever again. This team is so good. That's disgusting. Yeah, BMO Masterclass, but also obviously G2 they're so good, bro. They're just way too good at this game.
Yeah, they are extremely talented at this game. So congratulations to G2 for now being yet another team that makes it to 10 wins. That's a illustrious group at this point. And honestly, I gotta say, I'm at least pleased by the fact that so many teams are pushing G2 to their limits this summer. It's nice to see SSG, like we said, not only in their full form now, but really proving that when they are in their full form, they are a threat to be contended with by any team on this planet.
Man, Daniel getting that fake underneath on that catch to set up that flag. I mean,
Wild.
such a tilter. But also, this is exactly what happens with G2. It is literally never done with them. Like, you will not be able to take a win unless you actually take everything possible, make no mistakes. And yeah, I mean, I think it's encouraging for the future of NA. But at least for right now, the future of the OG team stream, as we cut back to us, is we have to play against Space Station. Luckily, they have just had their souls crushed on broadcast by G2. So hopefully that favors us as we head into the next round, which should be happening pretty soon if the other indications for round 3 are going to be any clue.
I hope they tilt out. I really do not care if they don't. I want them to tilt. I'm happy with them tilting, and I know that's probably toxic, but honestly, at this point, I'm cool with it. We need wins, and I don't care how we get them. So, OG, good luck against Space Station. I do feel like you're going to need it, though. The Space Station team, like we mentioned, has been on fire lately. They're going to be something to contend with, but if we're beating Shopify, who says we can't beat SSG too?
Yes, absolutely. And so with that, we will ready up for that next one. SSG is going to be next on broadcast against OG. Typically, the games start at the top of the hour, but I think typically they'll probably take a little bit of a minute, and we start normally early because there's no game to be able to contend with after this one. So Space Station Gaming OG must-win situation for OG to be able to stay up into the playoff race, or at the very least take as many game differentials as possible. Only today and tomorrow determine if we can make it into the top 6 and stay in that top 6 for the $20,000 Shift Summer League. Don't go anywhere. More OG action coming up. Hello and welcome. Sorry about that, but we had a little bit of a delay on this one. It turns out it wasn't 3 to 4 minutes and on the hour. It's 1 minute past the hour. I am deeply sorry, but I'm still back with Fast from the Past. We are casting the last of the Shift Summer League games for this. It is the last week of league play. This is day 1 of the 2 that we will be playing, and our final game of this day to be able to try to finish this one out strong is against Space Station Gaming. Come on off of a brutal loss, something that they actually do share with us, I will say, as we finish out the day.
I mean, it's another brutal loss. The only difference is that they can kind of afford the losses.
Yes.
We less or so can, which makes us actually a little bit more beneficial to us. That means SSG probably not going to be thrilled about the loss they just took, which means it gives us extra momentum, gives us more encouragement, and as I stated before, this is closer to a must-win game now at this point because we've got 4 series left. We are not even at 7 overall wins, and with Dignitas a single win, not even behind us, but like equivalent to us, and every other team above us at 8 wins or more, yeah, Taco, this is about as make or break as it gets.
Yes, and so when we get into this one, obviously SSG being a pretty competitive team, we were able to trade some games. Unfortunately, they did beat us in Game 5 last time we have met, but this is a completely different OG team from what we have seen. They've been able to pick a lot of these gameplays up, and so therefore we can get, hopefully, into this one and look a lot better while doing it. SSG in OG Esports, last game of this Tuesday. We have 3 games tomorrow, and that will be it to determine the playoff. So, as we had mentioned, every little bit counts. Let's see if SSG's ego just a bit crushed after G2 swiped away a win.
I will say this much, their confidence doesn't seem to have been crushed. That was sending 2 players into the same corner without a second thought. Their gameplay might be a little bit crushed. What on earth is happening here? I don't know what's more surprising, the fact that no contact is found from 2 different touches out of Chicago, or lack thereof, or LJ making that save.
No, but their job is not done yet, because another pass in to Jane Apps will also be saved. Heavy redirect. Noli actually misdirects that one. We'll try to find a pocket pass from Jane Apps, but even he cannot be the quarterback to be able to find that read. So it looks like SSG able to escape, but definitely under a lot of fire. OG not really mincing words, it seems like, with any of these plays. Another save coming in. This time Hawks are off his own bar.
I gotta say, the RMC game seriously taking an effect on the gameplay overall of what we are seeing from this team. The speed at which OG has come into this series is furious right now, and every play just seems to have an immediate follow-up. It's not necessarily a strategy I think is foolproof, because if they do keep having this all-out strategy and then the counterattacks come back in, it could be problematic. But for right now, they are overwhelming an SSG who are just looking to get their footing in this series.
Yeah, the thing is, a lot of flash in the pan attacks can kind of sometimes be misleading. Plenty of time we've seen plays where there's just plenty of shots coming in. It feels like it's inevitable that a goal happens, and then they're able to get the save, and then go down with one clear opportunity. LJ, please do not do that. Never a fan of seeing LJ uncontested going through the air.
Yeah, not necessarily a fan of, I'd say, most of what has happened after that first minute of play. I don't love this either. Yeah, that's about as great as it can get, because LJ is playing specifically for that. Musty Flick pulls off, that's a goal. Musty Flick doesn't, he's there for the shot.
Yeah, I do not think that's what Hawks are intended, but it worked out perfectly, so who am I to say what he truly meant to do at the end of the day? LJ still gets set up with a first shot, and this is exactly what I was talking about. It can be so difficult to kind of bear with this, but fortunately OG, after dictating the first 4 or 5 shots of the game, they're going to give 1 away, make that almost 2. Calm able to get the save, robbing LJ of a banger.
It doesn't feel like that's going to deprive them, though, of any more offensive pressure here. Breakaway out at mid, but only on no boost, can only opt for the 50 at best. Calm, follow-up downfield, right into the hands of Hawkser, who's got a full tank to work with, and the reset, fakes it out, tries to get it around Noli, but at least baits out the follow-up touch, and that's 2 players now at midfield, meaning Calm's got to do some heavy lifting here. He will not get in the way. Where is the shot? Hawkser the drop down, and my goodness, SSG definitely playing a lot more of a patient style right now, but it's baiting OG into a lot of awkward plays.
Well, if the other team wants to play fast and wants to be in your face, then sometimes you just have to throw it past them, as it looks like Hawks are actually able to get to this one. Really thought Noli got away with it. Can they get away with this one? Just from an angle, the near post says no. Calm looking for a follow-up. That's still a lot to do. Chicago knew. He's just going to calmly tap that down for the catch.
Chicago trying to get something started here. Looking for the block on J-Naps, but he's going to be the wiser. Can't really do much with it, though, so he has to spike it off the ceiling as a pass to Calm. Does get them downfield, but OG, not a lot of boost to work with here, so I don't know if they're going to be able to maintain this pressure. They definitely won't. Calm on 0 boost. Needs to beat out Hawkster. Hawkster fakes him out, meaning all 3 players from OG now awkward and in the corner. Will they find an escape or a shot? JKnaps to block it. LJ the follow on target and in. And SSG, this is the problem with playing that all-out offense. When they counter, they suffocate.
Yeah, LJ just so disgustingly good at the game, being able to smack these as hard as possible whenever possible, and that one is definitely going to be no exception to that. Poor OG, just trying to make sure that we get in front of the play as best as possible, but sometimes it is just not possible when SSG is able to set the plays up like this. They've adjusted well after the opening minute, and now it's really on us to figure out how we want to contest with them. LJ again trying to make something happen.
Then it feels like right now, OG trying to keep the same play style from the last couple of games that we've seen out of them, and as effective as it is, SSG made some quick adjustments after, I'd say, the first minute or two here, and have found the holes, the openings on the other end. They find one here as well. That's the worst touch I've seen out of LJ so far. Okay, that's the worst touch I've seen out of LJ so far. And I'm hoping we can turn it into an offense. Off the ceiling, Chicago just has to clear this one the other way, but it's into the hands of Noli, who sends it right back to Hawkster. We'll keep the pressure on out of midfield, and with a minute to go, this is still very doable, but OG have got to start getting some shots. They're building up pressure at midfield, and that's about it.
Com able to fake out the first one. JKnaps sent it high again. LJ has a lot to deal with, and he is not able to. So a little bit of signs of life from OG. Just about a minute to go, and Com and JKnaps connecting yet again.
This is just such a good play from JKnaps here. He knows LJ is the last defender. He knows he just needs to kind of bait him into a challenge. And when he recognizes that LJ is waiting too long to make the challenge, he just slides it underneath the bar. Clever play at OG, an effective one at that, but now comes even hyper efficiency. They have a minute to get at least a goal, and with the few and far offenses that they have found, this could be their golden opportunity. Oh my gosh, it might be a goal instead. Nolly, some heavy lifting here on defense. He will do it. Not on the follow. Calm almost makes the save, and my goodness, from the highest to highs to the lowest to lows, this was almost a beautiful play.
And offensive MVP LJ just getting all of the reads. I don't know how he's ready for this, but Chicago 50s that one in the corner. It just goes straight out to him. Like, he just knew exactly where that was going to go. I don't know if the SSG comms are that good, but it seems like they are. Can they predict this one, though? JKnaps open shot. Bar down somehow. Not in immediately, at least. And we answer right back.
It just sounds like the Benny Hill theme song is like just playing at this point for like everybody at this point. Because I see that ricochet off the bar, and how many players from SSG dive at it with no idea what to do on it. I'm surprised Noli doesn't get credited with a goal, but honestly, he was probably expecting a 50. Nobody from SSG make a touch. They just kind of have to look at that one as it sends its way on in, and here we are, 40 seconds to go, and there is a light on still at the end of the tunnel here for OG. They just got to hustle, and really, they got to get off of their half. That's not going to help them do so.
Nice deflection. That should bounce out. Makes Hawkster's read a little bit harder. Noli was up for it. Hawkster waited for it, and that actually might be his downfall because now here comes OG on the counterattack. Chicago laying it down to Com. Nice 50 to hold up the first one. Naps gets past him, but is into the waiting arms of LJ, who will cross across Hawkster. 50 down for Com. Putting it high into, I would say, the middle, but no real pass there. More of a desperation play, and now we have to go coast to coast with Noli trying to fake out LJ. Dunk down. It actually does stay up temporarily, but so well played on the near post. SSG getting away with it.
That's just kind of the most unfortunate bounce you could get as well, because part of the reason why they didn't even allow them to go all the way back out to midfield is OG were fully boosted up. Everybody on the team had at least 50, if not 100 boost on each player, so I bet you the intentions were to keep it in the air. The opposite of that ended up happening, though. 3-2, Space Station take game number 1, but again, this kind of goes to show you the difference in play style in which we have to play against SSG versus the prior two teams. Against RMC and SR, it was a shootout with both teams having double-digit shooting in multiple different games. Same thing here for OG, 12 total shots, and that's great, but it's not great when Space Station are shooting 15%. 3 goals on 6 shots. That team was hyper efficient, and I cannot say the same thing for OG.
It can be this difficult play where you get all the shots. It feels like you're building up so much pressure, but the difficulty of getting a lot of shots is that you're allowing the other team to get your saves, get their boosts, slowly ready up, and eventually you only have so many opportunities. Unless you're able to steal boost effectively throughout the vast majority of your attacks, it will eventually just end up in a clear because there's only so much you can actually congregate into a half before the other team just figures out a way to knock you out of the half. So going into Salty Shores, looking at game number 2, I think I'm confident based on what I saw at the back end of that game, especially till the very death of that one, where we were able to ask some questions of SG where they were not 100% sure of the answer. JKnaps with a wonderful denial from LJ, the only reason we're not ahead.
I like the offense we're generating here. Let's just see if we can convert on any of these plays. Calm trying to do it all himself. He got around one, looked for the bump on Chicago, but Chicago not going to bite on that, nor on this play. He knows no one needs to make the challenge, so we'll force him into it and leave him without boost. Similar here for JNAPS. Again, this is the one concern with playing this aggressive playstyle is that SSG don't seem to be falling for it, and if they can maintain their boost totals, they'll be prepared for a counterattack at any moment. Could even be here. Hawkster boosted up, a full tank to work with. He's bumped off by JNAPS, and the follow-up from Noli should keep him off the half, but for how long? Calm has to do a lot here on the backboard, and same with JNAPS, but Hawkster and the rest of SSG now finally getting some offense.
Yeah, but limited boost there from OG, so trying to make sure they top off everything and stay relevant. Nice pass down, Calm crossing up the defender, and that's a classic OG cut across the middle.
And the issue is that if you play too patiently when trying to look for the counterattack, plays like this happen. LJ saw that ball floating out mid. He knew the pass was going to get to him, but he waited so long to try and turn that to either an air dribble or a just dribble at all that eventually OG goes, really? You're just going to let us cut this? Okay, and they do so and immediately score. SSG right now is still probably feeling like they're expecting an OG who are a more measured approach, but considering the games that OG have played today, you got to get ready. Chaos Incarnate is absolutely the play style.
And it's a controlled chaos at times because as we've seen, it really does backfire. I think RMC is probably the clearest case of that, where they really just go all out for demos, and then once you have a team counter that, it really all goes out the window. Speaking of, they are incredibly lucky that was not going on in. SSG kind of taking too much time on that read, and now with their second live, they're trying to move on forward, but Chicago needs a lot more of an extension to be able to make anything of it.
Hawkster, good touch out at midfield, but it's only going to leave its way into the hands of Calm. Cook, Calm, what can you do with it? Nothing. Flip reset, denied by Chicago, and Chicago going to even deny the touch from Nolly afterwards. Yeah, Chicago seems to really have a vendetta in this series, and it doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense because we're not G2. You're just playing against your brother, bro. You don't need to try and do this against JNAPS, but he's been influential in almost every play. Individual impact from Chicago is by far the most improved here out of any of the three players in this team. I mean, he's muscling through 50, he's making challenges at the right time, and he's really saving, I would say, most of SSG on their worst plays. I think he probably could have saved that play, but I bet you LJ called him off, and now he's probably regretting it.
Momentum is also such a bother on plays like that. JNAP slaps him, and there's only, even if you have all the boost in the world, you are not able to slow yourself down enough to get that deflection. You can hope to hit it high, and that's exactly what he did, but it's only going to scrape the underside of the goal and result in another shot on target that's going to go on through from OG. This is more like it. Now, they just got to focus on the defense. JNAP's a bit early. It's still a difficult read from LJ. He's going to go for the pass across, and maybe overcooking that one, overcomplicating things. Either way, I will take it.
Yeah, too many chefs in the kitchen, never a good thing. And honestly, Calm might just be able to do it by himself. Never mind, JNAP's to back him up, but I'm more going to attribute that to SSG playing no defense. How is Chicago the only one back?
And only that, SSG also playing the angle is a little tough there. Chicago is the last one back on this one and does not really close down the angle. They have to touch it. It's rolling out, and instead of turning back and maybe playing more passive or just diving on through, they're kind of in this in-between. They weren't 100% sure, so good job by OG for recognizing the hesitancy and immediately hopping on top of it, not letting anything go out the wayside. And now this is where it seems like we've unpaused game number one. We had momentum a decent amount through the second half of that game, and now it seems like we have just continued this one. SSG really been struggling for any opportunity. Simply put, JNAPS just doesn't feel like missing much.
I mean, they also don't feel like playing a lot of defense here. Hawkster, why are you waiting until like the very last second to even make a challenge? You left LJ out to dry. I'm going to blame that one entirely on you. And SSG, again, I think really becoming uncomfortable against the playstyle that we're seeing out of OG. We mentioned it. They've been playing so fast. It's definitely due to the other series they have played throughout the day. And SSG not expecting it, sure. But after a game one where it felt like they were going to be able to contend with the playstyle at minimum, it's astonishing to see. We are just now passing halftime, and it's 4-0.
JNAP's trying to get that pre-jump. Not going to work out, and not even a bump play, but it'll still result in Calm getting a goal. How is no one touching this ball? SSG, they just look a little lost in the sauce right now.
I think that's the only words you can use at this point because there are multiple players back on this. At any moment, they could have made a challenge, but instead they just go, you're not going to make that shot. It's OG! What do you mean they're not going to make that shot? Don't bait them into it. That's insane. I don't really know what to say besides SSG. If you play the rest of the series like this, this is going to be a 3-1, and it will not be close. This game has not been close at all. Yo, somebody put a hand up. Why is Chicago floating there like he's Tinkerbell? What on earth am I watching?
I mean, on that one, I can understand. Oli doesn't have a lot of momentum. He knows it's not going to go that much further, but it is really strange to watch SSG be so passive on this one. It's out of character for them, especially when Chicago, I mean, obviously you're not RMC levels of aggression, but he likes to be the enforcer. He likes to be a player that plays in the midfield, knocks play around, but right now it's just SSG watching the ball go on through. Luckily, Hoxer can react to this one. I think he might have been played off the redirect, which never came.
Why would you play off the redirect, though, when you've got 2 players back? Why not even challenge him? At least get in the way, try to go for 50. Heck, just bump him off the ball. It just feels like SSG are allowing OG to complete these plays, and then afterwards, they decide they can get involved. Another good example there. Chicago, the only one leading the charge. LG and Hawkster both made challenges that made 0 contact on the ball, and eventually he has to clean up their mess. We said it. Chicago is by far the most improved player, at least in my mind, between the 2 splits, and his aggression has been a huge part of it, but he cannot be the only aggressive player for the team. He's picking and choosing his moments, while LG and Hawkster are just picking and choose when they can maybe touch the ball.
And right now, SSG, I mean, every team goes through this from time to time, obviously. One game does not mean the whole series is kind of on a huge fumble, but this is definitely, momentum-wise, one of the more lopsided games we've seen, really, in all of Summer Series. SSG is struggling to really get forward on offense. Hawkster trying to fix it by getting a double reset, and that's not really going to work as OG kind of watches him just putter out and move it back down into offense yet again.
Trying to, I don't think, intentionally flick that one into JNAS, but had he been able to make that work, it would have been quite something. Regardless, nothing's going to work out here in this game for SSG. They can maybe get 1 for the road, but regardless, a dominant victory.
Bounce, please.
And, okay. All right. I'm gonna say that was intentional. And you know what? Props to SSG for at least having some fun with it.
Cobb smacks that one. Poor LJ. Gonna hit that one. The fact that at 0 seconds that actually does bounce just before it's 0-0 is a nice little way to end this one. 6-0 for the OG boys, and that is a way to clap back after game 1 going not quite the way that we expected.
Yeah, not only that, but they're also able to increase the amount of shots that they are taking while minimizing the amount of shots that Space Station took. I did not realize it was this lopsided. That is 15 shots to 2. That might be the most lopsided shot total I think I've ever seen casting a game of Rocket. That is, again, words do not describe what we just witnessed.
I think the only time I've ever seen that is watching a ranked game in overtime. That it was just one team burying them in shots, and it just took forever to actually get there. But even still, as I want to maintain, SSG obviously an incredibly good team. I don't really think that's going to dictate how Game 3 is going to look. I will say SSG needs to make sure they were way more aggressive. It was very jarring to watch them just kind of stare at OG, develop these plays, and just have a goal go through, or have a shot that kind of just rolls through the midfield, and then all 3 players for SSG are like, oh, you got it, you got it, you got it. Oh, no one has it, and then Com just comes in, sweeps in, and gets a goal. So I'm not complaining, but I think SSG fans might complain a little bit if they don't put a bit more of a fight here on DFH. We're trying to take the lead in the series, and of course, put ourselves on a match point. Maybe right off the bat if Com had his way, but played for the deflection, and indeed it did deflect.
Already a quicker version of SSG at this point, though. Just the transition off the half alone is very uncharacteristic of the playstyle we saw in the last game. So this might be a little bit of a different one, and I'd have to suspect so. Okay, I'm going to hold my words for now. That was one of the more awkward plays I've seen out of midfield. And they're still taking their time to make these challenges on defense. The pinch out is great, I'll give them that. But if we don't see a quick follow-up from Hawkster, I'm not so sure if they've corrected their speed issues quite yet.
Com getting the 50, or at least an attempted 50 on the car, otherwise known as the classic Com bump. Flick around, what a pass! And Com gonna be able to get on this one, a creative build-up from OG.
But it's another play where SSG just hesitate. LJ, why are you not banging the ball off the half? You know JNAPS and the rest of OG are still lurking around, trying to take a dribble for the middle of your goal? What on earth? This is the most confusing playstyle I've ever seen at SSG. I have watched a lot of this team play, and I am baffled by what I am witnessing.
Well, luckily they were able to slow down OG through getting demoed in the midfield, so there was no follow-up immediately on the kickoff to repeat that JNAP's goal within game 1. But this is a little bit confusing from from SSG, and I agree that necessarily taking the touch from LJ is not a problem there in front of the goal. The thing is you have to get it out immediately. You also need to put up a hand. Com running out of boost. I think he was just trying to play for the softer touch, making that a weirder read, but not necessarily something that I would recommend repeating.
They're still just taking too much time to build up these plays, and it really goes to show that it's affecting the shot total for the team. Like we mentioned, last game, they had 2 total shots, and of those 2 shots, only 1 even required a save. So this team is taking their time to try and build up these plays, but once the build-up is there, you know, the climax of the entire thing, it never happens. They're 98% of the way there, but that final 2% is what just keeps on killing them in these plays. See if they can get something started here. Chicago gonna make the challenge against Calm, but Calm's just gonna bump him out of the way, and no one challenges afterwards at midfield. And then no one challenges here. Eventually, Chicago gets to it, but again, second best. They are not playing nearly the speed of OG right now. Maybe a shot like this can change it up, or not. Just no follow-up at all on that play.
Chicago, very confusing. Bass is experiencing what we as analysts call utter confusion and also bewilderment, because sometimes you don't get upset that OG is getting away with these plays, but it is more so just like, I don't understand what I'm looking at. SSG looks really unconfident. Maybe it's just the G2 match. The way they lost that one, if you guys were not sure, they had a lead, and at 0 seconds, Beast Mode hit the clip of his life, or, you know, average clip for Beast Mode. It's gone a sidewall redirect skim, and then eventually they ended up losing in overtime for Game 5. So that's a tough one to go. But in this game, it just feels incredibly timid, and not really for a reason. I think OG's playing well offensively, but not that well. I'm not really liking this new look, but I will take it so long as they're willing to provide it, especially as long as we retain this 1 goal lead. Maybe make it 2. Chicago had Calm in his periphery.
I got a feel for Chicago. Out of all the players on the team right now, though, he's definitely still the only one really keeping up the aggression. Meanwhile, his 2 teammates, I think, are starting to try and figure out, hey, okay, if we keep leaving these balls up for free, they're going to keep scoring off of them. But there's another example of where Chicago has to be the one to lead the charge. Can LJ make it up for him, and can Hawkser get something started here as well? Kinda. Chicago, a little bit of a fake out to keep the possession, and LJ pops it into his own back, and then spikes it in front of net. Never mind, awkwardness still apparently abundant.
That was the last touch I thought he would go for. I thought he was going to try to deflect that across, but either way, it's going to still lead to this attack, and that's a lot of boost for Calm. He's going to go for the catch, maybe an extension off the backboard. I think he might have wanted the flip reset, but initial touch too far away. Speaking of Hawkser, that's going to be, I would say, a giveaway. He gets it back, but then it's over LJ. Chicago hits a deflection, but he's going to get demoed, and again, SSG gets nothing out of that attack.
I will say this much. I am remembering one thing that was a significant factor in the last time we played SSG is that LJ did not look great against us either. Maybe it's just something about playing OG, but LJ does seem to have his more off games, especially offensively, when he is playing this OG team. I don't know if that excuses the fact that he's been almost a non-factor throughout this series, but I do remember last time, the first time he scored was in Game 5, and as much as I want to give credit to OG for probably being able to at least push it through in this game, considering the 1-0, I'm not going to count out SSG yet. Once this team does figure out their issues, I feel like they're going to be a much more threatening squad. But for right now, they're just I'd say, struggling to make offense or even get any midfield at this point. LJ is downfield, can't receive this pass, and it continues to ricochet back and forth.
That's a good setup, and as I was saying, LJ's not rotating back because I know he's waiting for one singular moment. Chicago gets the open shot, and poor JNaps, he's going to taste some steel from LJ.
I didn't think this would catch us off guard, but at the same time, if LJ's recognizing, all right, I have no influence right now with my touches on the ball, might as well switch to something off ball instead. It's a smart play, and unfortunately, it's one that's going to tie the game with 45 to go, but I don't think it necessarily corrects the issues that we've seen for SSG thus far. More issues might be appearing. That's a doink off the top of Hawkser's car, and it could have given some offense to OG. Instead, LJ trying to go the other way, and it almost works out with another bump. Now they're trying to steal our play style, Taco.
I mean, hey, there's no such thing as any team deserving of one play style. There's only so many things you can do in Rocket League, just how you combine them and how everyone buys into the system. That's a wide open lob. Calm can only keep it on target. I love the pre-flip from Naps. Now Noli, what can you do with it? Not being out LJ as he not only get the 50, but stay close enough to make JNaps try to slow things down. Final seconds, OG. You want to dive in? Apparently SSG does not. That's two players in the midfield. Naps, he's already pre-jumped. Chicago doesn't get the touch. Calm, try to take it down. Another deflection for Naps. Flip reset double, not gonna work, and SSG policing the angles just enough to get to an OT.
They get lucky with that one, I'm not even going to lie. That was another moment of where it's just cross comms. Nobody's really sure who's gonna make the challenge, and without anybody doing so, OG free reign of the offense. Weren't able to take advantage of it this time, and right now they're actually playing some defense instead. The long ball downfield could send SSG packing and force them to restart. LG off the ceiling, the shot is there, Calm makes the save. What about the follow who threw it twice? We still need one more off the backboard, and there's no follow-up from LJ. Sent downfield, and he'll have to retreat.
Chicago, how that wasn't game over for SSG, I have no idea. Wide open shot, he doesn't put it anywhere close to below the bar, but I'm not complaining. SSG playing better over time. They faced a lot of pressure and yet nearly capitalized on their really only 2 good opportunities all game long, just kind of like game 1. This is why. Getting a little spooked out, especially as we move back into midfield. No one goes immediately. Calm gets beat over the top. JNaps needs to recover and does to tap to the corner again.
Job's not done yet, though. There's still more pressure being exerted here from SSG. They're trying to swing through the corners and get a pass out middle, and that one's a bit too heavy for Hawkster to even take a shot. JNaps now trying to get this past midfield where LJ is lurking, and the 50 from it is back in the hands of Chicago. He's trying to cook something up. He's got space to work with due to a demo, but the challenge from Nolly perfectly timed. Follow-up lesser so. That's a double commit out of OG, and honestly, that's one of the few and far between we've seen throughout this series. I'm hoping it doesn't come back to bite them as Station get an offense started.
Well, Chicago's in the near post, and he's not up for it, which he might get punished for because JNaps has a double wide open for Noli. And despite all the adversity, OG still coming out with a game win.
OG taking the win in this one, and it really does come off the back of an SSG who just still failing to time their challenges correctly there. Hawkster is not going to be able to get back to that ball, and he knows it, so he's hoping that Chicago can at least create a lane for him. But when Chicago never makes contact with the ball, rather just shadowing on it, he has to dive it eventually, doesn't have an angle to actually dive at. No contact made, and that's about as easy as they come for an OG who've just been waiting for that play. And again, it's another game where they are going double digits on the shots. It's not as aggressively in their favor as the last couple we've seen, but at 11 total shots, it goes to show you OG have found a way to make this hyper-aggressive, fast-paced play style work out well, and it's getting them wins.
It's kind of gross just how many shots that we are getting, but most of this is just in midfield. It feels like it just kind of exchanges, it's glances at goals, nothing really working. And OG, I will say, is being kept frustratingly kind of penned out of the middle of the field. It really is up until SSG takes a dive, or as I called out in that last goal, Chicago waiting really long time for JNaps to figure out what he wants to do with it until that they all crumble down. They're doing a good job of basically parking the bus just enough that they're able to get those deflections, stay on the backboard to get those clears, but at times it does look a little precarious. So we'll have to see whether Game 4 is going to be yet another SSG or SSG OG Game 5 experience, or if we're going to be able to finish this one out a little bit early. Just 5 more solid minutes from the boys to be able to finish out day number 1 on a decent high note.
You've got plenty of time in this game to either A, reestablish their play style like we've seen multiple times out of OG, or B, maybe try to switch it up, because as much as I do like what we're seeing, it does feel like SSG are starting to make adjustments from this more aggressive midfield and offensive third. If they go back to their more, coordinated plays where they are waiting, giving themselves time to create passing plays through the center, I think it could be useful here, especially considering that if SSG are going to give us this much time in the air, why not try to go for a couple passing plays? Or just put it on target. That one's not going to make it through. It's going to be denied by some on-the-line defense out of Hawkster, but another example of where we're just kind of looking at that one going, how on earth did Nolly even get that much space in the first place?
Speaking of space, I saw JNaps creeping down the sideline. I wasn't sure if he was going to get there in time, but he will at least pinch that one to the far side, switching things up for Noli to cut out. Now Calm, already pre-jump, pass into JNaps. Chicago, he's left alone. His former teammate, he's going to deny him. How about Noli on the putback? Back post finish. OG like clockwork getting a goal.
Someone support this man already. Come on, everybody in net. And I can't even excuse the fact that there was a demo. Yeah, it's a demo, but it's a demo on the player in net. LJ should be going up for that one immediately afterwards, and the player in net should then be waiting to try to make the save. The fact that that one floats in front of net for as long as it does, and there is no follow-up challenge, is really the perfect example of the issues we have seen out of SSG all day today. They're waiting way too long to make challenges that need to be there within a millisecond, and in that space that is being afforded to OG, they are scoring from it. I'm not one to complain. I'm just still completely baffled and bewildered by what I'm witnessing.
Well, every team, it seems like, has their day to have an off day. We even had G2 go pretty rocky at times throughout the Shift Summer League. As we mentioned, there's been a lot of chaos here. After all, the number 1 team in NA right now is LG, a squad that did not qualify for Major 2 or Worlds. So definitely a weird scenario for all people involved, especially when SSG finally gets their wide open shot and then immediately gets sent packing.
They got demoed, and yeah, I want to say, that's probably why the shot was taken away, but actually it doesn't matter. You know what, it's fine. If they do want to give up that shot, it's okay, because they make it up on the follow-up here. And again, it is Chicago still doing the heavy lifting, though. It's a beautiful pass out.
Yeah, you really can't place it any better. LJ also has everything to shoot for, and that's honestly why he is one of NA's best offensive players, just because he had all the time in the world to shoot for that, and instead of hitting as hard as possible, he hits that lightly in the bottom left corner, the only place where really we could not reach that ball.
my gosh, JNaps. I love this version of JNaps we are seeing here today, which is not only hyper-aggressive, but just has no fear. He is dove into so many of these plays just almost immediately, and it's catching teams off guard on repeat. I also like this out of JNaps. Did he just get a double bump to keep the offense going? It's a shame it doesn't result in a goal, but my goodness, this dude is just seeing red.
Calm also considering a pre-jump, and I think halfway through, Naps is like, let's not get cocky. Just immediately rotates back out. He landed, and now we're back into the midfield, which is exactly where LJ likes to thrive. He's going for an air dribble bump, and he will not connect, which means Hoxer, you are left alone, or rather, make that Chicago. They might have changed places. A little bit easier on the positioning. There comes Hoxer again, and he will also get turned back to sender. Chicago just has to send this one deep. JNaps again there to meet. I don't know what OG's doing, but they just have a lot of these plays red.
I mean, well, part of that is the fact that we keep seeing SSG take a million seconds to try and set up plays. This time, LJ actually does have it work out, but even then, you could see the challenge out at midfield was well prepared for it. They need to be quicker with this. If they are going to do air dribbles, if they are going to get passing plays, it needs to be like that. That's probably the best one I've seen them execute all day, and honestly, it's almost a shame that it doesn't go through, but at the same time, it doesn't deserve to. They need to find that at a more frequent basis, and also do something here. I want to make sure we're not paused, because how on earth has SSG not gotten out of the half yet?
I mean, nobody has boost, and nobody on OG really wanted to press because they knew as soon as they did, it would just get flicked. So it's a little bit of a Mexican standoff there where everyone just got to stand around saying, all right, so how are we going to play this one between all these players and the ball? But I guess it doesn't really matter. Eventually, the gameplay has to persist, and LJ has to be in the middle of it again with a flip reset. Not going to be able to find Chicago, so LJ says, fine, I guess I'll do it myself. Flip reset fake underneath one. Com gets a 50, but still alive on the back post. Chicago's trying for the redirect for an interesting position. And again, Chicago central to it all.
That might be the first time today where I can really say that SSG's patience actually came back to benefit them here. Chicago easily could have ripped that one on target, but once he sees the bump in net, he goes, okay, as long as I can get this back out center, there shouldn't be a defender back. It's too awkward for them, and honestly, good on Hoxer to have full faith in his teammate to not only get the pass there, but to dive on it immediately. Slots it underneath the bar, and it does kind of feel like SSG finally starting to find a viable strategy here. They're still not playing as aggressive as OG, but the patience that they are showing is a lot better timed.
Ooh, and the counterattack. Chicago starting to get involved. He's got 2 assists to make that a goal now to be able to add on through. And I think we've been paying this guy his flowers for a while, saying he's still a solid player ever since he came from G2, playing a lot better in split number 2 of RLCS, and now he is getting rewarded for that, being sniped upfield. Despite all that good pressure from OG, we don't have much to show for it. Hence why game 4 simply not going our way. Minute remaining, though. Maybe we get one back. Fake underneath. Not able to beat that last defender.
That is the most unfortunate thing ever there as well, because JNaps is just trying to bump out of the way, but in doing so, he swings through net and technically makes the save. I believe that SSG would have been back for that either way, but because of the heavier touch out of him, it pops it out to the corner, so no more sustained pressure. They can rebuild here, though. JNaps a good 50. Where's the follow-up from Com? Not enough boost in the tank to do much with it, and he's just going to try to pop it to the corner, where all of SSG are waiting and prepared for it. 40 seconds to go. This is still very doable, but it does feel like OG, this has been the most limited options out of any of the games they have played. I don't think they're getting to double-digit shots in this game, and I don't even think they're going to get close.
And at the end of the day, they just need one to make it viable, and at least with some time, as Com has plenty of time. He's going to fake for the air dribble bump. He does have someone downfield. The save on the back post. A put back, but it's too much of an angle to ask for. Again, that will go begging. SSG going to be happy to see this one go to Game 5, as this series was really not going their way momentum-wise, but they hold in there, and like any major quality team, they're going to bring it the distance. We're going to have to go to Game 5 yet again to try and claim another series dub.
Gotta say, it is very much the Chicago show, and it continues to be the Chicago show. We said coming into this one, he was probably the most impressive player. I say walking away from it that he is the most impressive player on this team. And that's nothing to take away from LJ and Hoxer, who I do think have had a much better back half of the series than the first, but it really does feel like Chicago's at the forefront of all of these plays. Not only does he have a goal in this game, but the 2 other goals that are scored are both assisted off of him. He's got the majority of saves as well at 2 apiece, and he's also doing all of this while shooting 1-2 overall. Chicago, look, man, we're not G2. You don't need to play like this against us. I get it. You want some revenge against JNaps because y'all used to play together, but like, let's calm down, man. Let's just a little bit.
Yeah, all I need him to do is just take a deep breath and then maybe walk away from his PC for the next 20 or so minutes. Just put down the controller. Don't
give us like 10 minutes. Just
don't
play
tell
this
your
game,
teammates. Just put the left stick pressed forward, tape it down so you're still moving. Don't get auto DC'd. But other than that, yeah, I would love for him to go away because he is really the one central through line for SSG to hold on to, where I think everyone has had some off games. Chicago is not one of them. Game 5, hopefully we can see if we can clutch this one out. SSG already been here before one time. We have a Game 5 win. They unfortunately do not. We'll see how this all transpires for the next 5 minutes.
I'd love to see this one at least hit in overtime, though. What an end of the day it would be. I'd also like us to just, just kind of annihilate them in regulation as well, but I do feel like that's a less, realistic goal here, because as much as we did have the 6-0 in that one game, since then it's been 1-goal ball games both times. The last one 1-2, the one prior to that one 2-1. Same scoreline, just flipped and in an overtime win. So I don't think we're going to get back to that 6-0. I do feel like overtime is just kind of looming on the horizon, but I also do want to see what type of goals are going to get scored in this game, because right now it does still feel like hyper-aggressive, very fast-paced, and it works out for OG.
I was about to say, this was the definition of tragedy if Noli does not credit for this one. Beautiful flick over. I don't think Hoxer was even playing off of that read, and JNaps wasn't either. That for Calm, truly making it a 3v3 match by having all 3 players required to get our first goal, and it's really not even off of an SSG misstep. They just give an angle, and we take advantage.
Honestly, that's sometimes what you need to see, though. And if SSG is having an off day, that's where you need to try and take advantage of the more awkward places where you know it's going to be awkward for them. That's why we say, he's not expecting the shot through the corner. Why? Because he's not really fully confident in himself, nor the other team making that shot. And it's understandable considering what a narrow angle it is, but you got to remember, it's the best of the best. These are teams that are going to the World Championship. You have to at least play for the potential of that angle, not even give them the option. And again, we've seen that so many times here today with SSG just giving up chances that they should never even allow OG to go for, and they get punished because of it. They might get punished again here, though. Chicago, last one back. Shot is open and in. Noli gets another.
I love this from Noli, and this is just thousands of hours of game sense in action. He knows as soon as Chicago is up that is not going to be a read he has, so he doesn't rotate back. He doesn't get up the line to play for the read. He just immediately runs forward because he knows SSG's recovery is going to be fast, but it's not going to be faster than him.
Oh, it absolutely is not. But again, it just keeps going to show what we're talking about here, where it feels like Chicago is just having to put the team on his back. If he's the highest scoring player on your team, the one at the forefront of your offense, you cannot allow him to also have to be the player to try and beat a 1v2 on defense as well. Still kind of feels like SSG. Yep, crossed wires, another good example. Chicago and Hoxer dive, and no one makes contact. Freebie for Noli, back out center, but the shot is never found.
LJ, always dangerous so long as he has any boost. Calm gets the first save. Chicago, no angle. And Hoxer will sit on back. He was waiting for Noli's read. Does not come in, but then he just throws it away. That was a pass made by faith more so than an actual calmed play.
This one through the corner. Trying to get something started here. Chicago, again, at the forefront of the offense here, but his 2 teammates can't quite back him up as they had probably hoped for. LJ not even going to be able to make a touch on this play. He's just going to have to watch JNaps as he floats through the air. And through the corner. I don't know if they didn't know that JNaps was on 0 boost, but that's definitely not something you want to try to give to this OG team. Nor this touch out at midfield. What on earth? I thought we had gotten rid of this hesitancy at SSG. All of a sudden they go down 2-0, and it's all back here all over again.
So we will say whether or not how this one goes. It's not over till it's over. Wide open shot for LJ, and he will get that one wide open. Unfortunately, we're playing fine out of the midfield, but everyone just happened to spread on out. Poor Calm thought Hoxer was going to get there earlier. The pre-flip doesn't connect, but LJ certainly does.
That is a beautiful shot, and honestly, the play I think that SSG has been trying to go for all day today. The issue is they have not been able to connect to the degree in which they would hope for, so those link-ups are far and few between, which is why they've only got the 1 goal here as we get past halftime in game number 5. A crucial game 5 that, like we said, really needs to be more of a win for OG than it does need to be for SSG, but in order to try and make it to the upper bracket, they need to not fall down to that 5th and 6th spot. And I gotta say, OG are looking like they don't deserve that 5th or 6th spot. They deserve number 1 in this league with shots like this.
Noli, what a finish from almost the midfield at that point. That is like from way beyond the 3-point arc. We're only gonna get 1 goal for that, but it is gonna put us up by 2. And that's, again, a nice insurance as well. The boys playing cleanly. Chat claiming, apparently, this is, it could be a playoff clinching type of series in terms of qualification based on all the teams around and below us, but either way, better to just assume not and keep playing like this and carry it through the rest of the rounds. This is our final match of the day, but it's put me in good spirits, especially with the demos and the pre-jumps continuing to go through.
We still need to play some more defense, though, and Hoxer, the lead block! My goodness, if that wasn't threatening. SSG starting to put on pressure and sustain it for a long period of time, but they can't get a shot on target. That's the 2nd approach in a row where they've just beamed it off the backboard. Maybe a 3rd here. Hoxer trying to get something started. This one floats up. Calm, not a great touch, but he doesn't need it to be a great touch. Somebody from SSG approached the ball.
That's a great play by Com to be able to slow that one down, play for a 50. Even better setup from JNaps. I don't really blame Noli for not going for that one. You just got to be aware they might get caught out here. Pass over the top. LJ can't do it all himself. A rare moment where I could say those words and be correct.
It feels like usually we would see a follow-up there, but considering it's been Chicago who's led the charge into offense so many times, you'd usually have LJ or Hawkster as the second man there. With neither one of them really prepared for it, you're a bit surprised, and this is why I stayed. Chicago, by far the most impressive player here today. His ability to slot into this offense has been immaculate.
And being able to get that shot off Chicago, that is the only place that can go where that is not saved. Noli has pretty much everything covered on the near post and pretty much across the middle, so has to go the bottom 90. And of course, SSG loves to keep things interesting. Not a team to ever go down easily, despite those awkward moments, despite no one going up for JNaps. Off the kickoff, that's a freebie.
SSG, I've said this multiple times.
I know it's going.
I'm gonna just scream this one more time. Go for the ball! Why are you just sitting there watching it float over your head? Taco, I cannot comprehend this.
Oh yeah, it's a rough thing. Honestly, I'm blown away more or less that is not contested, or at least jumped for. And even worse, if this one goes in, Com from an angle, that one asking for quite a lot. But the clear from SSG is not going to be providing them any relief. That one's going to go all the way across. JNaps has boost, has the clear, has the outlet. Noli going to lay that one to JNaps. Look at the patience on the 50 into the follow through. They will not get the boost steal as SSG. Oh, there's maybe only 1 or 2 attacks left, and with 50s like that, it's not going to come easy.
They just need to escape their half right now, or maybe time these challenges. It feels like every 50 that they're going for is just a clean beat from OG, or a 50 straight up lost by them. That's not exactly a 50 lost by them, but it requires, once again, Chicago to come to the rescue. And he's doing it all, and LJ still can't score off of it. Chicago, I gotta say, man, this is a performance deserving of an MVP caliber type and a win, but you won't find it. OG, close it in 5.
OG getting it done. Well done by them, as SSG certainly giving it their all, but they were looking off. The plays not connecting. OG can't relate. Getting the goals from weird angles, getting the assists, and anytime SSG was a little bit hesitant, they were buffering in their minds. We were striking the ball cleanly and truly. 4-2 going to be game 5, but yet another clutch moment for us. Differential might be suffering, but series win total, certainly not tonight. I'll take it 2-1.
Honestly, at the end of the day, the thing that really matters most are going to be those wins. And as much as we talk about game differential being important, if you just straight up have more wins than teams around you, it doesn't matter about your differential anymore. And considering we get 2 wins here today, and I believe Dignitas, I want to make sure on this one, it sounds like they might be taking another loss at this point. Not going to be great for them. No, they barely clutch it up. 3-2 victory at the end of that one. So, yeah, Dignitas do get their wins here today, but not as many as us, and not nearly in as clean a fashion. So, I'm loving this. Look, OG fans, I'm not the curse anymore, man. We did well today. We corrected it. We actually beat teams that I watched us lose to last week. So yes. I'm happy with this today.
Yes, so to take you around everything for the scores to be able to end all of this out today, we do have, as I just realized the YouTube stream not able to see this one as I have to move this over, but here you go. We do have a game 5 for Dig, so yeah, just barely claiming that one up against Fun. A little bit of change up of everything. A kickoff goal, it looks like, from Fun, actually to win game 3. SSG obviously taking an L to us, 3-2. G2 taking 3-1 over Moist Esports, a.k.a. the old Moist Esports, POAB now. And Shopify Rebellion 3-0 over Incorrect. Same with RMC over Gen G. So clearly RMC doing well, and I believe with that playoff, according to Chad as well, that yes, RMC and G2 able to, looking like they clinch their playoff spots after their performances so far.
I believe that, actually crazy enough as it is, I think that Red O's Magic and Cheese, they clinched it with a win versus us today. So that's how far ahead they are from the rest of the pack right now. And it's not just the fact that, again, they're 12-3 here, but plus 19 differential is higher than G2. Double that of Gen G and over double that of Space Station right now. It is incredibly impressive what RMC are doing here today. So honestly, I'm just happy that we pushed them to 2 overtimes in a really close series. It's an unfortunate way that ended, but it goes to show you OG are finally at the level where they're not just contending with the best teams in this league, but they're really pushing them to their limits. And I think it's deserving of us now sneaking into that 6th spot overall in the league.
Yeah, and the biggest thing right now is obviously the top 4 of this league are able to enter into basically the top end of a bracket. It's going to have everyone get seeded from league play into a double elimination bracket. The 5th and 6th seeds will go into lowers. So you have to pull a full Cloud9 and run all the way through lowers, which is a pretty tough thing to be able to deal with. So we are currently sitting at 6th. Dignitas really the only team that is truly like neck and neck with us, as I believe Pirates on our boat more or less done, unless pretty much OG and Dig have pretty much just completely sell for the rest of their weekend. But as we go through all of this, as Tordad had mentioned, and that was going to be my point, we are contending also with Shopify to a certain extent. They have a crazy schedule. They have Gen G tomorrow, SSG right after that, and then RMC for their 3rd round. So the possibilities of them taking 3 losses are not completely out of their wheelhouse. But, of course, ours isn't much better. We have G2 to start things off. We have Gen G 2nd, and then we have Fun 3rd, which, based on history, should be a clean way to end our day, but still would be lovely to take care of business before then.
Yeah, Fun's the actually officially first team to be eliminated from playoffs at this point. They quite literally cannot catch up at this moment here. So despite the, I'd say, biggest upsets of the summer overall, it's not going to be enough for them. That being said, it's, again, not just contesting against Gen G and SSG, though. It's all 3 of the teams right now that are at 9-6. The only 2 teams that are above 10 wins are currently G2 and Reddles Magic Cheese. Everybody else is at 9-6, which before today would seem like a little bit of a far stretch for us to catch up to. Now it's 7-8. It's extremely obtainable for any of these teams. Even for Dignitas, there's 100% a world where either one of Gen G, Space Station, or Shopify Rebellion just clean lose out tomorrow, go 9-9 overall, and if Dignitas can take their 3 wins, they go 10-8 and straight up overtake them. Same exact scenario for us. So, yeah, pay attention tomorrow. If you haven't already been paying attention to Shift Summer League, I'm very confused why you're here in the first place. But even at that, you very much should be paying attention to every one of these teams. The scenarios for tomorrow are limitless, and it's going to be so interesting to see who comes out on top.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here, and that's why I have to say we might have cooked a little bit with T-Bates saying he misses the league play. Because I don't know how I feel about it, but honestly, this feels pretty cool to be able to see all these matchups, to see how competitive it really has been based on just how close this table is as we take one more look up here at the table. I mean, you have some teams running away with it, RMC and then G2, but then 9-6, 9-6, 9-6, 7-8, 7-8. Like, that is 5 teams. Half of all the teams are pretty much exactly next to each other within their standings. That's crazy to see.
Yeah, it is. It's been about as close as you can get in this one. It's really been everything we've been hoping for. I agree with T-Bates in saying that league play should be a staple feature here. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to agree with him in stating that it should replace RLCS at this moment, but I think there's a world where we can have a little bit of both. I would love to see more tournaments adopt a playstyle like this. I do remember back in the day. Shout out to, I'm trying to remember what it was. I know you casted on it as well. It was another one of the series that was developed by Ignited and JSA back in the day, the one league that they ran for all of the bubble scene. I know it was another S name as well, and I can't remember what it was. Either way, there were league events that used to run coinciding with RLCS, especially being provided for the bubble scene. It's a bit of a bummer those don't exist anymore, but I would love to see them make a reappearance.
Yes, and with that said, hopefully we can see more in the future, but right now, that is going to be it for right now. We have one more league play game, and luckily for you guys, you don't have to wait too long. It is tomorrow, same time as the start of this one, 7 p.m. EST. OG's got to go through one more of a gauntlet. We're currently 6th in the standings. Top 6 makes playoffs for this $20,000 summer league. But Bass, of course, thank you for joining us. You can follow him there below at Bass from the Past, myself at The Danger Taco, and also you guys can check out OG at OG Esports, at OG Esports RL, and also shop.ogs.gg for all your lovely stuff, like this hat, like this baseball jersey from New Era, as well as this lovely jersey that I have on as well. Bass, thank you again for joining us for this lovely time. Anything you would like to say to the crowd before we piece them out?
Follow me. That's about it. Really, please do follow me. Followers are valuable. Those are cool. They help me get jobs and feed myself and my cats. You don't want her going hungry, do you?
There you go. Yeah, see, you're starving. You're starving Bass if you don't follow him on socials. You're starving.
What I'm saying here.
Starving Bella.
Exactly what I'm saying. Also, on top of that, follow Taco and be here tomorrow. I seriously mean this. If you have not been able to catch an entire full stream from any of what we have seen throughout Shift Summer League, tomorrow's the day you want to be here. It is going to determine every team going to playoffs. It's going to determine the bracket overall. It will be about as exciting as it gets. And yeah, also as chat's saying, the curse is over. I've been, it's been lifted off of me, so it should be a good day.
Absolutely. And so with that said, we're going to end the stream. I'm going to throw you guys over on Twitch to Miss Macho. She is doing a partner stream, so please go to that link, refresh the page so it counts as an actual viewer, give her a follow. She's one of my favorite people, definitely doing a good grind, so enjoy that. I will end stream, but I'll be live in a little bit longer for like an actual formal, my own stream. But I got to get the analytics from this one, send it over to the OG guys. So with that said, thanks for tuning in on YouTube, on Twitch, and all for the OG fam. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 7 p.m. EST for more OG action. Have a wonderful rest of your evening.